If you'd all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please. Councilman Dodson.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet here together and conduct the business of the city of Heath, Texas. We're so grateful to live in this wonderful environment. We ask that you bless us and watch over these proceedings. Grant us your wisdom, divine purpose, and spirit as we do the business of this city for the betterment of our community. We ask that you bless our first responders who put their lives on the line every day. Bless our military who put their lives in harm's way, fighting overseas for this great country. Bless their families who await their return at home from these deployments. We ask that you continue to watch over us this evening as we travel home from this meeting. And we say these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. God bless Texas.
All right, very well. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move into our agenda item number 2. This is our public comments. Mr. Alexander.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, we have Lily Tooker here to speak tonight.
Okay. Ms. Lilly, if you'd like to take the lectern, just state your name and your address.
Good evening. I'm Lily Tooker, and my address is 5032 Camille Court, and I'm here to talk about recycling.
Okay.
Do you ever feel like systems need an update? We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them, Albert Einstein once said. I'm Lily, a student of Lindenline Elementary School, and I think we need change in perspective of recycling. Because contamination is a large problem. In months of research, I found sorting isn't the conflict, it's human laziness. A greasy pizza box can make paper oily during pulping process. I feel we should educate people on what can and can't be recycled. If they continue to ignore recycling, you should give them a warning. If not, and they refuse to recycle and be lazy, then you should fine them for it. And if we add more recycling bins around the city in local places and at our schools, then that could help impact a lot. Recycling is not only good for the environment, but it also saves money for landfill expenses that the city is paying.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Wow. Hey, very exciting. Very proud of you, and thank you for coming and speaking. I tell you what, I don't know that I would have had the guts to do that at your age. So, hey, very proud of you. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. We have Mr. Anchondo, Henry Anchondo, here to speak tonight.
All right. Good. Thank you, Henry.
My name's Henry Anchondo. I live on 7 Key Drive. And I'm here just to discuss the situation on Key Drive. Some of you probably have already heard and are aware of it. And so I'm just going to read some of this stuff. My wife says it was a little bit too long, but I'll leave a copy for you all here. We appreciate that Key Drive is considered as a City of Heath construction priority. Our neighbor, Peter, he's an engineer, has paid multiple visits to the city offices since 2023. Now we are asking to clearly define the project scope, funding allocation, and implementation timeline in place for this roadway. At this point in time, it has been more than 4 years since we raised the concerns about the condition of Key Drive and would appreciate clarification on the following. And I'm not going to read all 5 of them. I'll just leave this with you just to keep it a little bit shorter. Regarding the bridge, there are 6 items there that are in question. Regarding the bridge repairs on Key Drive, because the bridge is also, it's a disaster. It's falling apart there. Since the residents' concerns with a deteriorating Key Drive bridge since April 2023, including the collapsing side walls, soil loss, and roadway sagging near the structure, based on the visual observation, the deterioration appears to be significant and ongoing. The city has current photographs documenting the conditions observed, including roadway rutting and sagging, bridge wall displacement, cracking, erosion, and undermining the underground structure underneath the soil. Given the conditions, what is the status of Key Drive Bridge reconstruction or repair project in terms of scope, engineering assessment, and CIP funding? That's what the residents would like to know. Has a timeline been established for repair or construction of the bridge? And we're really concerned about this coming winter, because I don't know if any of you have gone out there to look at it, but it's really, really bad. And we're concerned, bottom line is, the residents are concerned that if that wall collapses on that bridge, we're gonna be stuck, because it's a dead-end street. So there's some more questions on here, and
If you
I'm
want to
just
give
gonna-
those to Mr. Alexander, he will.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
You're
being
welcome.
here. And in public comments, it's an opportunity for residents to come and speak, and it's not really a engaged dialogue, but I do want to address that we have talked about Key Drive. In fact, I know some of the other council members as well. We've all been out there, and it is on our radar. We've talked about it in our budget cycle and trying to figure out, where do these funds come from, right? And that's something that we're challenged with when we deal with budgets. And it is very much on our radar, and we do thank you for being here. And it is very concerning that any dead-end street that has a bridgeway, that has some potential failure, that's of the utmost importance. So, just so you know. All right, Mr. Alexander?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, those are the only 2 folks we have signed up to speak at public comment.
Very good. Well, thank you both for speaking. And again, Ms. Lilly, you're somebody special. All right, moving into agenda item number 3. This is our council and city manager comments. Mr. Alexander?
Mr. Mayor, council members, the only announcement I have to make, I want to introduce you to our new director of engineering. John, if you'll stand up just real quick so everybody can put eyes on you. No speech necessary, but John Hernandez began working for us last week. We're excited to have him on board and look forward to all the wonderful things he'll be doing for us over the years.
Thank you, welcome, John. Thank you.
Welcome, John. It's great to have you here. I can tell you Mr. Alexander looked high and low. And he said, I will not settle. So you must be somebody really special. So, now good luck. Okay, all right, moving on. Mr. Alexander, any further items?
That's it.
Very good. Council, at this time, the floor is open. If you have any comments. Very good. If there are no comments, then we'll move into our consent agenda. This consent agenda is 4.A, action regarding the minutes of the July 14th, 2026 regular meeting. 4.B, discussion and action regarding an ordinance approving an annual update to the service and assessment plan for Hacienda del Lago Public Improvement District. So I believe everybody's had time to review the consent agenda items. So the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Very well.
inclusive of the minutes from the July 14th meeting and the discussion and action regarding the ordinance approving an annual update for the assessment plan for Haciendas del Lago.
Very well. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Myers. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into agenda item number 5, 5.a, discussion and update on current capital projects to include but not limited to the Hubbard Drive project, the water plan, Town Center Park project, Terry Lane Road Rehabilitation, Candlelight Fire Flow, Public Works Facility Trails, and the Street Maintenance Program. Mr. Creed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As stated, this is what the project updates are. It's been a whirlwind activity the last 2 weeks, so I'll probably have to do a lot of talking versus what's also on these slides. Everybody's familiar with the Hubbard Drive project, the same slide I always have up here. What has been done in the last few weeks. The traffic switch has occurred. We're now on the concrete portion of the phase 1A, moved over to the phase 1B, and there's already been some pours on the other side that have already started. We did do some inlet work. Larry Drive intersection is still underway. It was slated to be open this week. It will not be open until August 8th. We found that today. So they've got some storm work they still got to complete there before they can refill and open that intersection. Most of those storm boxes you see being installed behind Pablo's in that area have been installed, except there is a conflict for a gas line that has to be moved, and then it will be finished up at that point. But that doesn't really impact the roadway construction. Different group. Here's some pictures. You can see, obviously, you see on the right, the middle picture especially, you see the portion we now drive on when we got away from the old one. There's a water truck there working the subgrade on the phase 1B on the other side. They have conducted some pours on down for this one already. And this, again, the same. This is the transition to the exit where they match. You come out and you're all on complete concrete. We still don't have that other side open. However, you can see how the road will look. Again, there's the detour map. And I did include a Gantt chart. There's been a slight amendment of this, but it's internal and doesn't go all the way out to change anything out. It's just the amendment for Larry Drive would change from the 27th to the 8th on the Gantt.
Brian, what's the final date of expected completion on this, please?
So they're demonstrating it as end of December of 2026.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. That's it on Hubbard. Moving into the water plan. Well number 1, we do have the temporary pump in place. This week, or actually the end of last week, it faulted. It is grounded on all three legs. It's a rental. They're going to come out, see what's wrong with it, and get us back in business. But for right now, we're not in service. The well itself is still in review. We expect the transformers to hopefully arrive this fall, but the schedule for getting a building and having it potable is still next spring.
Mr. Mayor, are we allowed to ask questions here?
Yeah, please,
Okay,
feel free.
Great.
Yeah.
Brian, on this well, have we been able to solve for the salinic content that's coming up from
So
the
we know what it is. It's
Right.
It's 352 milligrams per liter, which is moderate to concerning if you're going to stack it on really tight ground.
Right.
I would defer to the Parks Department on what they're doing with soil sampling and things like that to mitigate against your soil absorption rates and sodium buildup and things like that.
So obviously, when we mix this with our standard water supply, it becomes dilute and there's no issue associated.
Well, hold on. So there are two separate things, right? When you
Right.
talk about the salinic, you're referencing the irrigation, right? Which
Yes,
is
correct.
less than 6% of the total well usage, right?
Right,
Because this well is
right.
going to be generating, hopefully, up to about 1 million gallons a day that we're going to bring in the system. So that it's valved to where less than 6% is going to be going into your pond, which would be referencing the salinity as far as watering the grass. Everything else, it's going to be piped, it's going to be chlorinated at a station, and then pumped up in to your tower. So it'll
Right.
actually be chlorinated to match North Texas Municipal Water District specifications, and then brought into
Yeah,
the system.
so again, when it's mixed with our supply, treated
Yeah,
and mixed.
treated first.
And there's no issue
Yeah.
with
The
it.
salinity will not be an issue at
Right,
that point.
yeah,
That's
right.
correct. I'm sorry, I was speaking just directly of using just the well directly on the grass.
Got it.
From a potable standpoint, once the city gets it, it's diluted to a point, and the low salinity that they have in the current water, dilution will drive that number far down to not be a concern.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Very good. So you're stating that the game plan is that we'll have that online by next summer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still on track.
So which is an additional 1 million gallons a day that's going to be brought into the system for potable. Very good.
All right. Wells 2 through 4, so we've separated out well number 3 in the bid process. We did postpone that bid date. We had to acquire a construction easement. We did acquire that today. So staff will now put that out and we'll get the bid process going. It actually will coincide with the EST, which that bid date was postponed as well due to some deed work we had to work through. But we've got all that solved and we're ready to go out for both of them, both happening within the last week or so. So.
Brian, do we have all easements and what have you sorted for these wells on access?
So we do for number 3.
Right.
For number 2, we are working with Fulton School, which is by the tower for
Yep.
construction area over there. They did have some comments. We did go back to them. They have not signed it yet, but I think we're in good shape. We addressed all their comments the way they would like to see, and we have no inclination that there's going to be an issue there. For the one at the pump station, number 4, that's on our property. We won't need a construction easement, we don't believe, for that one. What we're getting for them is, for our pump house, is they've got a lot of comments on our site plan review. So our little mixing building.
City of Rockwall.
City of Rockwall,
Gotcha.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
I know Mr. Alexander met with them today, as our engineering group, as I did today, and there might be some fencing requirements and things, so it may make our pump station very, very nice by the time we're done meeting Rockwall standards
Right.
for this well.
And just for everybody's edification, to the mayor's earlier point, each of these wells also will have the ability to produce up to about 1 million gallons a day. So in addition to well number 1 producing 1 million gallons a day by next summer, these wells also will produce, or are slated to produce, up to about 1 million gallons a day as well, over and above our current supply as a city. Thanks,
That is
Brian.
the expectation.
Yeah, it's great. And just for the audience or any listeners at home, obviously, it's always important. We've talked about it probably a little over 100 times, but I think it's important that everybody notes that 2 years ago, we were receiving 5.5, maybe 6 million. Now today, we're receiving 7 million gallons a day from our providers, which is Rockwall and essentially North Texas Municipal Water District. And then we're also in a long-term agreement with Rockwall to where they're also going to be providing us an additional 2 million gallons a day over the next 5 years. So a lot of people might even say this is overkill, but at the dais, we are working very diligently to essentially solve the water problem 15 years from now, not necessarily the problems over the next 5 years. We believe that just with these agreements and the one water well, we've essentially solved the short-term concerns, but we're not here for short-term, we're here for long-term to get us all the way to full build-out for the city. Mr. Creed? We can't take any questions, I'm sorry.
I'll be happy to get with you.
Yeah, afterwards, though, you guys are all welcome to get with staff. Just during these city council meetings, unfortunately, it's not open forum for questions. Very well, Mr. Creed?
All right, so moving on to the 3 million gallon storage tank. We do not have a bid date on this. The planning or design is finished for this tank. It went through TCQ review, and it will be part of the grant application that we're going to present later on tonight. We have a resolution for that to move forward on that one.
So that everybody understands, the reason we don't have a bid date for it is because, if you recall, we did not issue bonds for this particular ground storage tank. And so we're applying for a grant. Hopefully we get the grant funding. If not, and we have savings on projects throughout the use of our bond proceeds that we do have, perhaps we have enough money left over to build this water tank.
Very good. Thank you.
As discussed, the 1.5 million elevated on Governor's, the design is complete. We had to work through some deed work with HGYC. We've completed that, and we are ready to move forward with bidding this project, which will coincide with number 3 well as well, same site.
Just for clarification,
Yep.
Brian, sorry.
Yes,
So
sir.
you may recall, this has been bid and has been awarded.
Oh, yes.
We are,
Sorry.
To Brian's point, we are preparing to give notice to proceed to the
Correct.
contractor.
Right.
Okay. And this particular project, you may also recall, and just for everybody else's benefit, came in about $4 million under our anticipated cost from our original estimates. So good savings on this project.
It's great.
That's correct. Phoenix Fabricators got that.
Very good.
That's right.
Thank you. And then before we go to trails, where are we at on the additional shared storage with the city of Rockwell? Just for the audience and anybody listening at home, obviously, we've talked about 6 wells that we're bringing online. We've talked about a 25-year long-term contract with the city of Rockwell, but we also are doubling all of our storage. So part of that is what we've just seen with ground storage. Future state, but current state is we're going to be building this raised elevated storage tank that's been planned for many, many years. But there is also a newer development that happened over the last year as we went into this agreement with Rockwell to do a shared storage, which will give us an additional 1.5 million
Correct.
Gallons. So where are we at on that project?
So the last feedback I had on that is it was with the consultants for Rockwall.
Okay.
They're considering doing a 5 million gallon tank, of which we would get half of a 3 million portion.
Okay.
Which, I don't think it matters to Heath, whichever, but they have not moved forward on that yet.
Very good. Well, we were planning for an additional 1.5 out of that.
Yes.
And whether they want 3 million, 5 million, I think it's all good.
Yeah, and to your point, Mayor, that provision of shared storage is also included in that long-term water agreement that council has approved, entered into with the city of Rockwall.
Very good. I would just throw that into these updates, so then that way we can kind of track the progress of where that's landing. Very good. Thank you, sir. Moving into trails.
So I have 2 trails, what we call the Terry Sidewalk. I went to the Commissioner's Court this morning, and they have pledged the $424,000 to our sidewalk. Obviously, design is underway with the design team. Mr. Alexander informed me that it's 3 to 4 months on design and expected about 6 months after that for construction. The OPCC overall on the project is 1.1 to 1.3, so there's a little bit of a gap there that will have to be fulfilled through the Heath budget.
Very good. Well, a big thank you to our county judge, Frank New, and our county commissioners, and Lauren Lichty worked really hard on this, and even goes back to Commissioner Lee Gilbert that worked on this years ago for allowing us to have some county funds to repair Terry Lane, and them dedicating this to sidewalk is absolutely wonderful.
It wasn't a year ago that this road was literally crumbling into the ditches on both sides.
Yes.
So, having this repaired, as Mr. Achendo talked about with Key Drive also, once it's on the radar screen and we are able to put it into focus, we're able to action on it, okay? So I think this is a prime example of that.
Yeah, very good. Mr. Creed?
The other trail I would have any update on would be Hubbard Trail. This involves the City of Dallas easement that has been moved to their City Council agenda schedule. I've been referred to a portal for the City of Dallas that I check. As to date, I do not see it.
Okay.
Beyond the portion that we need the easement for, we are going to have to resurvey the take line. We've asked through TMP, a company called Maddox, to take care of that for us, and we expect that at as quick as possible, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Any questions on the Hubbard one? It's kind of.
No, I mean, ultimately, I think it's just important that everybody know that trails is very near and dear to the council's heart, and we're trying to figure out how we can get everyone to walk from our town center park all the way to our unique waterways to enjoy the lake. So I think it's great work, and appreciate the diligence. Some days it feels very elongated in city government, so I do thank you guys for your hard work.
Let us know if that Dallas portal takes you to a new dimension or something. I
I'd kind of like to see what that looks
Yeah.
like.
Very good. Moving
There's a
on.
lot in there. Candlelight Fire Flow Project. This is a good project. So I was informed today that Hayes Blees are about 50% complete on all their bores. They've already set several hydrants. And almost this entire thing is a board project, board, not boring, but board, under the ground. And they said they're about 50% along. They just started in June. So this is really great progress. We're really happy with this contractor. They seem to be doing very well. There's some pictures there that show the new hydrant. You can kind of see a tie-in there on the right. This is a 180-day project, I might add, as well. So they have 6 months to complete. So from June till December. But they seem far ahead of schedule. And I know that's taking a chance bringing that up, but that is what it seems like at this point. They seem to be moving on very smoothly and very quickly. You can see the water line there, that HDPE they're pulling in the ground as they do the bore. So that thing just popping out of one end, doing the other in that borehole. They pull those in very long pulls with a bore machine. I don't know if y'all, some of you are probably very familiar, and some of you may not be. But we're really happy with this project.
Yeah, very good. And just again, as a reiteration, you guys have done a great job pulling that forward. When Councilman Dodson and Councilman Mormon and I first took office, that project wasn't even on really the radar for the capital improvement. And we had, I believe it was 12 neighborhoods that unfortunately did not have proper fire flow to fight fires in their hydrants. And we took action very quickly to say, hey, we've got to figure that out. And thanks to Mr. Ayers working the numbers in the finance, we figured out how to do that within a 5-year time period. So the only follow-up question that I have is that I believe we had some surplus savings that we were going to go ahead and pursue engineering for the additional items on that list.
So it's underway.
Okay.
We're probably about 30% to 40% along on design for that one. We have monthly meetings on that. There are some cross-country lines that we're finding a little bit challenging, but we're working through them. And then the design is doing it in a manner of, if you don't want to do all of them lumped together, if there's some kind of construction fatigue the city has, you want to try to break it up a little bit, or you can do them all together. That's the way it's going to be presented to the council on the design.
Okay, very good.
We should have those plans in December.
In December? Okay, good. Well, then that would assume that we're on target. So, very good. And again, if anybody has any questions about the fire flow, we've talked about it a number of times here at the council meetings. That comes back to Forney Lake Water Supply. And when the city's CCN brought that into our system, that let's just say that there were probably some items that were missed inside of the due diligence of what we were actually taking on. And so we're very happy that we're solving a problem, but it's a very old problem. Very good. Moving on to Public Works Building.
All right, the Public Works Building. So the building shell is complete. It's completed masonry. The windows are in, the doors are in, the AC's on, the power's on, the gas is turned on. There's floors, there's ceilings, there's walls, there's plugs. All those things are installed. What we don't have is finished fixtures. We don't have trim around windows. We don't have internet. And like they're installing the toilets tomorrow. And then the partitions will have to be installed after that. So the offices, if you walked in there, you're going to see a carpeted office with baseboards and all the stuff. It looks like a regular, ready-to-go office. However, we can't get a certificate of occupancy without everything that I mentioned being completed. So we didn't even get to move in furniture. Well, we have it. We're ready to go.
Okay, very good. So it sounds like that this may be completed towards the end of August? Is that the new speculated completion
I
date?
want to be really careful as to throwing out a date here, because there's just been some frustration.
I'm just asking for John.
For John? We'll have John in this building by the end of August.
Oh, okay. No, the Public Works team has really endured very well, I think, in a temporary building. So very excited to see this come to a completion. And I have toured the facilities. It's going to be great. Even seeing our SCADA system, for those of you that don't know, our SCADA system used to be housed in a closet, in a house that had a tree growing through the middle of it. So again, very exciting to see this building in the state that it's in.
It's
So,
imminent. It's imminent. I mean,
Very
we're
good.
closing in
Well,
on it.
whoever's, for those of us that have built houses, it's always this final push at the end, the trim, the toilets, the inspections and everything that seem to take
It's
forever.
Mr. King that won't give them a CO. That's really the
Right.
problem.
And
Mr.
he's
King,
good.
come
You know,
on,
he does a
man.
good job for the city. He makes sure he toes the
Yeah.
line, and that's what we want. So, Brian's out there every day, just about. Mike's out there just about every day. I go out there frequently. We are pressing the contractor as much as we possibly can. So we are anxious to get in this building. There's no question about it. But
And we have a very attentive new PM that's taken over, I believe, within the last 6-7 months. And I think that he's done a fairly well job.
My DraftKings over and under 2 months ago was September,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was on the record for that.
I kept telling him, no, he's wrong. He's wrong. Yeah. All right, very good. Moving on.
I
Thank
do
you,
have
Mr.
some pictures. The one on the left is the break room. You can see the cabinetry there, the flooring. The ceiling tiles are not installed in this picture. They were waiting for an overhead inspection just to put the ceiling tiles in. But you see the lights, all the vents, things like that, and they had started doing the borders of the ceiling so that they leave it open for the inspection. The one on the right is the bay. That's been done for a little bit, so there's not a whole lot of. It's a bay. You're not going to see a whole lot of difference there. But that does kind of define what the break room is. There's a partition that goes across in the middle. You can break it off into a training room on one end and still have your break room on the other. It's very nice. The picture on the right there is looking from the doorway inside, looking out the foyer. That is all complete except for right there. You see in the bottom left-hand corner where there's some cabinetry that has to be installed for the front counter. They're still working on that. But the flooring and the foyer is all complete, and that door to your right would take you into that break room I just showed you in the previous picture. The picture on the right is the hallway. If you went left from the picture on the left, you look down the hallway and it's all the offices, and it goes out to a back door. I'm sorry, that's not true. This is standing back by the bathrooms, looking all the way out the front of the foyer. So you see there's a bathroom there to your right, and then the mechanical room, and then you go into a break room on down. These are the offices. Again, they don't have the ceiling tiles in them. They're waiting for an inspection on that, and they don't have the trim on the windowsills. Other than that, these are complete as of today. Unless they trim the windowsills out this afternoon, this is how they look. They do have the floor base in it. What do you call those? Baseboards. They are installed. The carpet's installed. The lighting, the electricity, all that. That is the finished paint. This is going into the one to the right is the hallway down to the offices. The one on the middle is looking into what would be the men's restroom, leading to where the toilets are to the right there, and then it goes into a large locker room, and then on around the corner is the showers. You can see that cabinetry there. The sink has not been cut out and installed yet. That is something that is supposed to begin tomorrow, along with the toilet installations.
And bunk room?
There's a bunk room. If you go all the way to the very end and turn right, down there where it looks like there's a cutout where there's supposed to be lockers that we're going to have to install, you go down and there is a bunk room down there to the right. It looks very much like our offices. It's just a square room with a door, but very nice. And that's all I have.
And just for clarity, there may be individuals that say, what's a SCADA system? SCADA system is your entire brain that staff utilizes to manage the water and making sure that the water is flowing and filling tanks and towers, et cetera. So that's the brain. And so there will be a viewing station behind reception for that. And then the bunk rooms, you might say, why are there bunk rooms? Well, bunk rooms and showers for Public Works, these are really some unsung heroes. These individuals, I can tell you, when you have freezes and you have things that are emergency management related that they have to deal with, they work overnight. And so while we're sleeping, they're hard at work. And so this is the proper type of facility that they've needed for a long time. And so we're very excited to see this come into fruition. Council, are there any questions on any of these line items? And then as far as street maintenance program, do we have any updates on street
We
maintenance?
do not.
Okay.
The budget has been expended there. We do have some encumbered money that we haven't spent from our crack seal stuff they need to put together.
Okay, so, Mr. Alexander, if we can just make sure that in the next meeting that we actually address any of the unencumbered, and it may not be much, but we want to at least dialogue it. And yeah, that'd be great. And again, thank you, Mr. Creed. Lots of hard work. In fact, this last year, I believe, is one of the highest, if not the highest, amount of road projects that, you know, when Mr. Creed started working on the road maintenance plan, he had a full head of hair. That's how hard he's been working on our road maintenance. So
Brian,
thank
what
you,
is
Mr.
that
Creed.
number? Is the number, did we hit 90 projects that your team took on and completed?
I believe we recorded 88.
Right.
But I don't think it'd be very hard for me to go out there and find us a couple that we did.
Right.
Just to beef up your
Make it
numbers.
90.
Wow.
Well, thank you, and
Thanks,
and it's
Brian.
noticed. So thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your team's hard work. Okay, if there's no questions for staff, then we will move on to our agenda item number 6. 6.a, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Heath, Texas for case number ZA-26-2, requesting the change, to change the zoning from PDSF 43, Plan Development Single Family 43 to SF 43, Single Family Residential District, and being a 3-acre parcel of land identified as Lot 1, Block A, Wanamaker Estates, and addressed at as 400 Heathland Crossing, situated in the Edward Teal Survey Abstract 207, City of Heath, Rockwell County. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was noticed for this agenda, but since the time that it was publicly noticed and placed on the agenda, it has been formally withdrawn by the applicant. So at the July 7th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the P&Z Commission did vote 6-0 to accept withdrawal of the application. As far as our recommendation for you tonight, we would mirror that recommendation that you accept the withdrawal. This item was brought forth at the direction of the Planning and Zoning Commission and some feedback at a meeting earlier in June as a new application that you'll see a little later on this agenda.
Okay, very well. And the only reason, so we tabled it because P&Z, it was a timing thing, and so we had it on our agenda. We tabled it, and it's essentially a withdrawal, so that's why we're dealing with it tonight. We do not necessarily need action, council, or do we need to take action on the withdrawal? We do need to go to a vote for action on a withdrawal, so at this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
I will move to formally accept the applicant's withdrawal of zoning change application ZA-26-2.
Thank you, Councilwoman Thorogood. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Dodson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into 6.b, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Heath, Texas for case number ZA-26-5, requesting to change the zoning from PDSF 43, Plan Development Single Family 43, and SF 43, Single Family Residential District, to PDSF 43, Plan Development Single Family 43, being a 4.126 acre parcel of land identified as Lot 1, Block A, Wanamaker Estates, and Lot 1, Block 1 of the L Hall Addition, addressed as 400 Heathland Crossing and 1500 Lawrence Drive, situated in the Edward Teal Survey, Abstract 207, City of Heath, Rockwell County. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, that was a mouthful. So this item is the follow-up to our withdrawn case that we just acted on. So receiving some feedback from the Planning and Zoning Commission in June about their original request for this property coming forward as a straight zoning change, they have revised their proposal to include both 400 Heathland Crossing and 1500 Lawrence Drive in a proposed planned development district. We'll get into what that means for this application here in just a moment. Before going through the details, I would like to note that there is a companion item to this case that is next on our agenda to amend the future land use plan. The future land use plan is part of the city's overarching comprehensive plan that states the vision for the city. Generally speaking, zoning is it's necessary to be in compliance with the future land use plan. So the future land use plan companion item after this was put forward in the event that the council wanted to make a motion tonight for an underlying base designation of this PD for a less dense zoning district. We'll get into exactly what that may be here in a moment. So that is something just to be aware of as we're going through this item. A bit of background, the property owner is Mr. Coppinger here. He's purchased the property and is looking to build a new single-family home on the vacant lot that is in place here at the corner of Heathland Crossing and Lawrence Drive. The current zoning for the larger 3-acre tract, which you'll see in a zigzag shape on screen here, is planned development. There was a planned development previously approved several years ago for this property that established, among other things, a minimum lot size of 3 acres. Mr. Coppinger has recently acquired 1500 Lawrence Drive as well. That's the smaller square property you'll see on screen here that has a different zoning designation, a single-family base SF43 zoning district. So this application, now that he owns both properties, is put forward to essentially establish a shared zoning designation between the two properties as a planned development to facilitate the construction of a new home on that vacant corner here. That PD I mentioned that is currently in place was approved back in 2022, and as I noted, it did require a minimum lot size of 3 acres. So the proposal tonight would replace the existing plan development that's on a portion of the property. That is something, as far as the minimum lot size, that the plan development before you tonight is looking to stay in compliance with. They're not looking to get away from that. With all the property that Mr. Coppinger now owns, he's in excess of 4 acres, so there's not an issue in adhering to that original plan development standard. As I mentioned, the home at 1500 Lawrence is part of this request. Now, Mr. Coppinger, his plans today are to demolish that existing home if he receives approval, combine these two disjointed lots into a single platted 4-acre lot for the construction of his new home. This table on screen here compares the proposed PD to both the existing plan development that's on a portion of the property and our base SF43 zoning district. It's a little difficult to see because of the size, but there's a few key items that I want to note here that vary from the existing PD. There are a few items that Mr. Coppinger wanted to clarify that may have been a little ambiguous in the existing plan development. The first is that the maximum number of primary dwelling units on the property would be one single-family home. That's what he is looking to accomplish here. The next would be that the minimum square footage for the primary dwelling would be 3,200 square feet. The third is clarifying towards the bottom in bold the minimum exterior masonry requirement, specifying that that should be 80% across the board, regardless of what masonry material it may happen to be. And finally, garage orientation. The existing plan development on the corner tract here does require rear or side entry garages only. This proposal before you tonight would allow front entry garages, but only if they're set back at least 100 feet from the property. To help visualize what that may be, Mr. Coppinger has provided a concept plan to accompany this plan development. You'll see on the left-hand side of the screen that concept plan with garage doors indicated in red. So this is a multi-garage home here. 5 garage doors are shown, 2 of which would happen to face the plan north, the top side of the plan here, which is Heathland Crossing. But as you can see, it is set back quite a distance from the roadway and is planned to be screened by vegetation and some fencing by Mr. Coppinger. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see some conceptual renderings of the new home that is identified in the concept plan. The future land use designation of the property is medium-density residential. That's the brighter yellow that you'll see on screen here. That is the prevailing designation of our future land use plan for this southeast corner of Heathland Crossing and Lawrence Drive. It's shared by the adjacent neighborhood to the south and to the east. The companion item that I mentioned is available for you tonight in the next item to change the designation to rural estate if the council wanted to make a motion tonight to alter the base zoning designation of the property from SF43, which is currently proposed, to SF 3.0. The big difference between those two zoning districts comes down to lot size. The base SF43 zoning district carries a minimum lot size of 1 acre, which is equivalent to the medium density future land use designation that you see here. The SFE 3.0 district carries a minimum lot size of 3 acres traditionally, which as we know from Mr. Coppinger's plan development proposal, he is already meeting with this request. As far as public notices are concerned, we did issue public notices in compliance with state law and received several letters of support, 5 to be exact, back from those that we noticed within 500 feet of the subject property. We also received 2 letters of opposition to the applicant's request. All of those are included in your packet for review. Our comprehensive plan from 2025 provides a number of recommendations for the council to consider when acting on a zoning change. One that I want to point out is specifically that new residential developments are suggested to come through as a plan development as opposed to a straight zoning change, which is what Mr. Coppinger has brought forward today. The purpose for that is to have customized development standards that might not otherwise be achievable through a base zoning district to help promote the unique vision and development pattern of Heath. So with the development standards proposed in this, Mr. Coppinger, in staff's opinion, has met that element of the comprehensive plan recommendations. At the July 7th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission did vote 6-0 to recommend approval of the zoning change request as presented. And as far as staff's recommendation, I mentioned that they are meeting that checkbox as far as the comprehensive plan recommendation is concerned about bringing forward this request as a plan development. I also note that the underlying zoning designation of SF43 proposed with this plan development is consistent with our current future land use plan and is consistent with the surrounding area as well. And with all that in mind, we are going to be recommending approval of the plan development as presented tonight. I'm available for any questions you may have, and the applicant is also here tonight to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. King. So before we move into public hearing on this item, we will open the floor to ask any questions of staff. Council? No questions of staff?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Dodson?
Zach, with regards to changing the underlying zoning designation to SFE 3.0, that is part of the consideration, or is that sort of at council's discretion?
It's a discussion you can have
Right.
as your discretion to act on this item.
Right.
The proposal and the recommendation from staff is for a base underlying designation of SF43 because that is consistent with the current comprehensive plan designation for the property.
Right.
Yeah, so it's my understanding staff has generally speaking made the recommendation, hey, let's go SF 43 PD to help address any issues. But the only concern that I have with that, and I do like that P&Z has addressed the comprehensive plan to potentially allow us to change the comprehensive plan as it designates to SFE 3.0. As you see on the map, rural estates is directly across the street. That's a new future land use designation that the council took into account when passing the comprehensive plan. And it's my understanding that Mr. Coppinger, he's essentially wanting it to be a 4+ acre estate, which really falls in alignment with SFE 3.0. And so, you know, to me, I think it helps considering this as a SFE 3.0 PD to, you know, essentially take any of those secondary considerations needed. But it falls closer in alignment with what that ordinance is, and it aligns a little bit better. And so what that means in technicalities is that assuming Mr. Coppinger doesn't build this property, he's got an SF 43. I know it's a PD, and with that PD, you can't just arbitrarily try to subdivide. But again, if you've got 4 acres, you could at a later date try to come in and say, hey, look, I'm not going to build a house. I'm not saying that that's Mr. Coppinger's plan. We see his plan. However, future state planning would take into account that you might try to come in and subdivide some of those properties.
Yeah. At SFE.
The reason I know that is that the previous property owner that owned this property was considering it, right? So again, to push this into SFE 3.0, I think it complies. It fits well with what he's representing that he wants to build. I think it's a beautiful piece of property, frankly. And so to your point, Councilman Dodson, I would concur. Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll let Zach speak to it if he disagrees, of course. But I don't think staff has any reservations if City Council wanted to consider this for an SFE 3.0 PD, you know, I think the only concern, Zach, help me, the only concern that might come up would be the setback requirements within that PD to make sure that, because in the SFE 3.0 has wider side yard setback requirements.
Yeah, and that's a great point from Mr. Alexander. The big picture, something to understand, is the goal of what Mr. Coppinger is trying to accomplish remains the same regardless of some of the semantics or the details that are worked out as part of the plan development. Setback requirements are different to some degree for the base SF 3.0 district versus the SF 43 base district that's proposed here. So in discussions with Mr. Coppinger, he's amenable to going to a potentially 3.0 base zoning district if there can be some discussion had around those setback requirements. I'll pull up this concept plan here, specifically setbacks regarding the interior side yard setback, which is shown on the right-hand side of this concept plan. So the current plan development proposal before you tonight has a minimum 15-foot side yard setback. And
So SF 43, it's allowed.
correct.
In a SFE 3.0, which is larger estate, the ordinance kind of changes some.
It goes to 25 feet.
Okay.
So the home is situated right now on the concept plan, right on that 15-foot line. So what Mr. Coppinger, and I don't want to speak for him, but in our discussions with him as from a staff standpoint, he would potentially be amenable to modifying this if the side yard setback could remain at 15 feet as part of the plan development. What benefit we have with the plan development before you tonight is we can customize those development standards to be unique and to fit this particular situation, for sure.
Yeah, so again, you know, SF 43, it works, right? SFE 3.0, the one thing that I would like to point out on SFE 3.0, and this is for the council, but also any resident listening, you know, when the planning and zoning and the council in the past has looked for adding this 3.0, it is to encourage these estate properties. And so it wasn't really, I don't believe it was the legislative intent to say, okay, cool, let's make that really hard, right? In fact, you know, some might even say, well, gosh, I don't know that we want to do a SFE 3.0. We'll create precedent. However, we don't have anybody that's done a SFE 3.0, right? So I would highly encourage us to consider that SFE 3.0 PD and allow those adjustments, because then it says, this says to anyone that's looking to build, hey, we really want to encourage those estate-style properties, which does help us with density management, and it helps us preserve what I believe the direction of the city has been. And open spaces and big, beautiful lots, I think, is very much in the comprehensive plan. So with that being said, are there any other items of concern as far as we've addressed the setbacks? Any other items?
No, I'll just add, presumably you want to hear a bit from the applicant here in a moment. After that discussion, I can certainly offer a recommendation if you're leaning towards the 3.0 change to help make sure the development standards are still consistent with what Mr. Coppinger is looking to accomplish.
Very well. Council, any further questions for staff? All right, very well. At this time, if we could have the applicant come forward. Welcome, Mr. Coppinger.
Howdy.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Are there any items that you would like to discuss with us as it pertains to this project?
I think Mr. King was pretty comprehensive.
Okay, very well. Council, at this time, do you have any questions for the applicant? Looks very beautiful. I won't tell you which way I would vote, but I like it. I live in Heathland Crossing too, so
I understand.
it's great. Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. At this time, we will go into public hearing at 7:23. If you would like to speak for or against this item, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. You can take the lectern. Yes, sir.
My name is Roy Stacy. I own the property at 1509 Lawrence, which is directly across the street from this. I was here several years ago when the previous owner said that they was going to build a single house on that property, and as the council knows, that never happened. And so I've been a little confused as to exactly what's taking place. I think this has changed a number of times along the way. If this is going to be built there, I think it's wonderful, and I would be very much in favor of that. I was a little concerned when I looked up the current owner, and it said on, the first thing I found on the internet was, it says, I buy distressed real estate assets and reposition them to force equity capture. So I looked at that and I thought, well, is the real intention to do that, or is the intention to subdivide this and to do something else with it? But if it's just rezoned to SF 43, it's my understanding that it could be subdivided. And so I just would point that out to the council. But again, if Mr. Coppinger intends to do that and the city is going to see that that happens, I think that'd be a wonderful addition to the city and very much in favor of that. But I've just, with all the things that are going on and the various proposals and it being changed, I was a little confused as to whether that's really going to be the ultimate result. That's it.
Mr. Stacy, always great to see you. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Public hearing is continuing. If we have anyone that would like to speak for or against. Yes, sir. If you'd like to take the lecture, just state your name and your address, please.
I'm Michael Casabon. I live at 404 High Meadow Lane. And the discussion at the council here I thought was very enlightening, and that the direction that you propose of going to the 3-acre planned development, I think is appropriate. I think this would be a great, a sales point, if you will, for the city of Heath, that we'd be able to be flexible enough to allow these changes to the standard in order to encourage this type of development. So, and it also would eliminate the potential going forward or make it more difficult to subdivide the property, which is also in alignment with where I'd like to see the city go. So for what it's worth, I support your statements, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I love it when people support me. Anybody else like to? It's an unpaid job. I just got to say, it feels nice. Thank you. All right, little levity is good. Anyone else like to speak for or against? Very well. At this time, at 7:27, we will close the public hearing. And if there are further discussion items, council, the floor is open. No further discussion. Councilman Dodson?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. The floor is open for a motion.
Great. Zach, so guide me here. I'd like to make a motion that we modify the underlying zoning change to SFE 3.0 plan development for this particular property, and approve it to move forward for case number ZA26-5.
And I'll just note, if you're comfortable with the existing plan development standards that are in here, so everything but the underlying zoning designation, you could state that. That'll make sure that really we're changing that underlying designation and nothing else as far as the development is concerned.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, could you pull back the PG so everybody can see those while they're...
And this is on page 72 of your packet if you'd like a better view of it. So these development standards will outline everything from setbacks to minimum home size, as well as lot coverage and masonry content for them.
Right.
Okay. Well, so there's no reason to amend the motion. There is a motion on the floor.
Right.
If there's any additions you would like to add, you still have the floor.
Correct.
Sure. I would also propose that we have the flexibility to amend the setback component of this particular SFE 3.0 with regards to this particular piece of property.
Very well. Does that work for a motion?
Up or down on the setback requirement, right now it's at 15 feet. So if you're comfortable with that, the SF 3.0 has a minimum side setback of 25 feet, which would require a change in the concept plan moving the home.
Right.
So essentially citing the setback to be 15
To be
feet.
15.
Right. So do you need that degree of specificity in this motion?
Just
Yes.
identifying that these development standards, the 15 foot for the setback is acceptable. to
Okay.
you. That's perfectly fine.
So let me amend my motion.
Granted, we have amendment on the floor.
To
Continue.
accommodate the specificity required by Mr. King with regards to the setback moving from 25 feet to 15 feet to accommodate this particular piece of property. Does that satisfy the requirements?
Thank you very much.
So essentially, so we're all clear, they're
Jesus.
adopting a PD, SFE 3.0 with the proposed PD standards.
That's correct.
Very
Right.
well.
Yeah, overall.
That's what I heard.
In the whole spirit of this, on every line item across, minimum or lot size is greater than 3 acres. Minimum home size is at least 3,250 square feet. On and on down the list. It ticks all of the boxes, save for the setback. And I think that that's a reasonable concession that I would like to make as a part of this motion.
Very good. Motion on the floor as stated. If there is need for clarification, please let me know. But I believe that was pretty clear. So the motion on the floor by Councilman Dodson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second by Councilwoman Thorogood. Do we have further discussion items, clarification items needed? If not, the motion moves. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, it passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Clear as mud. Moving into agenda item 6.c, we will conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance changing the 2025 comprehensive plan in accordance with section 211004 of the Texas Local Government Code to amend the future land use map from a medium density residential designation to a rural estate designation for the properties described as Lot 1, Block A, Wanamaker Estates, and Lot 1, Block 1 of the L. Hall Addition, addressed as 400 Heathland Crossing and 1500 Lawrence Drive, situated in the Edward Teal Survey, Abstract 207, City of Heath. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the companion item to change the future land use plan to be consistent with the action you just took on our last zoning case. So as we noted, this property is currently designated medium density residential. Based on your action in the last case, the appropriate future land use designation will be rural estate that identifies a minimum lot size of 3 acres and is consistent with your action. So staff's recommendation is going to be consistent with the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation from July 7th, which is that you do move to adopt this future land use amendment to establish rural estate designation for the subject property. I'm available for any more questions if there are any on this one.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. King. Very self-explanatory. Council, do you have any questions for staff? Very well. If there is no questions, at 7:32, we will go into a public hearing. If any residents would like to speak for or against, please raise your hand. Going once, twice. Very well. We will close the public hearing at 7:32. And at this time, if there are no further discussion items, I do appreciate how you guys have worked on this to really be able to pivot. I think, obviously the comprehensive plan is our guiding body, and then there's all of our ordinances that guide us in our decision-making, and I think this is a great decision because we have a great applicant that wants to build a great product within the city, and we're trying to accommodate, so it's a win-win across the board. Thank you very much. At this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor. I move that we amend the future land use map from medium-density residential designation to a rural estate designation for the properties described as Lot 1, Block A, Wanamaker Estates, Lot 1, Block 1 of the L. Hall Addition, addressed as 400 Heathland Crossing and 1500 Lawrence Drive, situated in the Edward Teal Survey, Abstract 207, City of Heath, Rockwall County, Texas.
Very well. We have a motion on the floor as stated. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilwoman Horn. We have no further questions or discussion items. The motion moves. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into 6.d, we will conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Heath, Texas for case number ZA20264, requesting to change the zoning from agricultural district to SF43, single-family residential district, and being a 20.99 acre parcel of land identified as ARCAD property ID 10470, situated in the J. Cantor Survey, Abstract 53, City of Heath, Rockwall County, Texas. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you noted, this case is for the 40-acre property, approximately 40-acre property situated on 531 Hubbard Drive. The existing zoning for this property is agricultural, and they're looking to change
Well,
the...
hold on, Mr. King. We are on ZA 20264. And your last slide was referencing the 40 acres, which is ZA 20263. So it looks like
I think you're right. Yeah, we've got a different order in the slide. So these are some companion cases here as well by the property owner for Heath Golf and Yacht. Let me jump down to the slides for ZA 264 here.
Very well, thank you.
Similar request as far as changing the zoning from agricultural to SF 43. This particular property is off of Lambert Court, and it's a little over 20 acres in size. The owner of the property, after going through a couple of public hearings with the Planning and Zoning Commission, that continued consideration of this item to tonight's meeting, has prepared a concept plan identifying how they intend to lay out the property. We'll look at that in just a moment, but it's important to note that the request before you tonight is just a straight zoning change request. So as opposed to the application you considered a few moments ago, it's not a plan development that will have a specific concept plan or specific development standards that are tailored unique to this property. So they're going to be making use of the existing standards in our base SF 43.
And just for clarity, Mr. King, and really for everybody that's here, a PD essentially allows you some negotiation, if you will, with the applicants, where a straight zoning case is the laws that you have on the books, and they are applying to essentially apply the ordinance as it sits as your current law for SF 43, correct?
That's correct.
Very well, moving forward.
There's a couple of things to note about the existing zoning, that agricultural district. It does still allow for single-family residential use of the property, but only for lots that are on a minimum of 10 acres. The SF 43 district that is requested tonight would allow homes to be situated on lots that are a minimum of 1 acre in size. A few other key aspects to know about this property is it is included in the 2013 Heath Golf and Yacht Club Master Development Agreement, but is not included in the existing Plan Development zoning district for the property. So it was never zoned at the time the original Heath Golf and Yacht Club was considered, but for infrastructure planning purposes, it was owned by the developer at the time. They included it in their 2013 development agreement to forecast some of those infrastructure needs. The development agreement, even though it assumed 1 acre lots would be developed here at some point in the future, did note, of course, that formal rezoning of the property is necessary to accommodate that development. As far as the development agreement is concerned, Heath Golf and Yacht Club, it does have a Parks and Trails master plan. What is unique about this property is it is adjacent to the master plan for trails and parks, but there is not specific trail improvements included. The property owner has noted that he would be potentially amenable to extending a trail or sidewalk from an existing trail on this network that you can see here along Trophy Drive. But that is not something that's specifically outlined in this request, again, because it is a straight zoning change request. This will be a little different from the property we'll see in just a moment that's going to be considered that does have some trail and park improvements as part of the development agreement I mentioned. The concept plan that's before you tonight is going to have some general elements that I've outlined here from our ordinance. It'll identify, as we can see on screen, general lot layout, setbacks, the location of streets, as well as any buffers or park reservations. But again, it's not necessarily binding. What we'll see here is the subject property laid out. Lambert Court is going to be on the left-hand side of the page here. For frame of reference, you can see FM 740 right here on the right-hand side of the screen. So they're looking to extend one drive from Lambert Court that ends in a cul-de-sac that would have an additional cul-de-sac extending right here. This layout is approximate, but they can show that they're fitting about 13 homes on 1 acre lots that would meet the design and dimension requirements of the SF 43 zoning district that is requested. A couple other things to note is there is an approximately 4 acre reserve that is carved out on this concept plan around an existing pond and natural area that they're looking to keep in place. Additionally, along a shared property line here with some adjacent properties that front FM 740, they have identified a 15-foot tree setback that would be proposed to be developed in the future. It's difficult to see, but that is 15 feet running along the full width of the property line here.
And just for clarity, again, you know, I know that the dais knows this, but just for anybody listening and any residents that are here, when you say that this is a concept plan, the difference in a PD is where you're kind of negotiating, and they've got to give you exactly what the plan is, and you're talking through it. When it's a straight zoning case, they're essentially saying, hey, the laws on the books will comply with all of those, right? So 1 acre or one home on one developable acre, got it. But they don't necessarily have to give you a concept plan. However, the developer has shown you that just so everybody can kind of see what the concept plan is.
Correct.
Right?
And
I just always like to give that designation because I remember the first time I heard that, I thought, why don't they have to show us? So, okay?
Absolutely correct. So this is a frame of reference showing how they could feasibly develop the property. And the developers here tonight, they can certainly speak more to that vision as well. As far as the future land use designation for the property goes, it is identified by the comprehensive plan as a medium density residential future development type, which is consistent with the 1 acre lot size proposal before you tonight. You'll note on the screen here that the immediately adjacent properties to the north and southeast are in this shared medium density residential designation. The orange that you'll see on the map here on screen is the Heath Golf and Yacht Club, which has a high density future land use designation for lots less than 1 acre. So we are less dense than the adjacent property for Heath Golf.
And Mr. King, if I may just give a little bit of historical perspective, it's called medium density today. However, it used to be a 1 acre lot was considered rural estates. Well, that's something that we kind of changed in the comprehensive plan because we're really trying to start focusing on SFE 3.0. And so essentially we just changed the designation of what used to be a rural estate and said, hey, that's really medium density in comparison to things that like in this case, right? You had a master plan development that was really brought to life back in 2009. And then obviously this agreement kind of came in 2013, is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Just giving a little bit of history on why that's considered medium density. I can tell you, I talked to other mayors and they would say that this is hugely rural. And I said, well, it's a little bit different in Heath, so.
Thank you for that clarification. I'll move in next to our public notices that were issued for the property within 500 feet of the subject site. After issuing those notices, we did receive 5 letters of support back and 31 letters of opposition to the applicant's request. Those are available for review in your packet as well. The comprehensive plan, just one thing to note that at the time the development agreement was adopted, we were under the 2008 comprehensive plan. So to your point, the low density designation that was in place at the time of that development agreement was the 1 acre equivalent. The Planning and Zoning Commission at their July 7th meeting offered a 6-0 vote recommending approval of the zoning change request as presented before you. As far as staff's recommendation is concerned, we'll just note what I mentioned a moment ago is at the time the development agreement was adopted, they did still have a future land use designation of 1 acre minimum lot size. They're consistent with that today as they were in 2013. Beyond that, I'll note that the item before you tonight still remains discretionary to City Council.
Very, very good. Council, do we have any questions for staff? No questions on this item? All right, very well. We will move into a public hearing at 7:43. We're now in a public hearing. If any residents would like to speak for or against, if you just raise your hand, I'll call on you and we'll have you take the lectern. Yes, ma'am. If you just state your name and your address, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Sarah Dickinson. I am the owner at 1582 FM 740. I'm the farm property that's along that road, sharing the fence line to this property. I sent an email to all of you. Sorry, Mayor, I didn't include you. Sent it to the council, though. You know, this has been something that we've really been grappling with. We have been talking to Mr. Whittle as well. I guess I have a couple questions with PD. It's so SF 43, they just have to basically go by the law, is what you're saying. So he could put the tree line in, he could decide not to put the tree line in. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, we can't answer questions. It's not
Okay.
really a Q&A.
Okay,
But,
so I'm just
but we
gonna put
will-
that out there.
But we'll take really copious notes, and
Yes.
hopefully in our discussions, we can try to address it.
Hypothetically, is what I'm hearing, is that what is being presented here in reality may not be what happens. With the comprehensive plan and the direction of the city, open space, equestrian lifestyle, I believe I'm probably one of the not largest property owners, but one of the largest equestrian operators in this city. This really doesn't conform to the look and feel. Being that I've been in this industry, I'm also an architect in my full day job. But being that in this industry, I've seen this happen in areas, like Princeton, north of Frisco, well, even Frisco, where these property owners like myself get surrounded by this density. And I think 1 acre lots are wonderful in certain places, but this is a beautiful piece of property. Mr. Will and I have talked about this. I really would like to see, if it is approved for development, that it really goes into the SFE 3.0 so that it maintains that look and feel of some of the larger landowners that are around this. Yes, I understand Paradise Court is there, but there's another ag zone of 11 acres adjacent to that. And, just the kind of toll that it takes on our schools, our utilities, and just, an overall look and feel. I really do believe that if this is to be developed, that you all should consider larger lots, or at least, talk with that. Or that it's also the potential of a PD, because this is, it's something that's very, very concerning to me, especially that I have 1,200-pound animals, and all of that fence line, most of it, I would say 70% of it, those animals are at that fence line. So we keep 10 to 12 horses at a time, and there's safety concerns that are there, not only from our side of things, but also how do we prevent animals from coming in, pets, kids, that kind of thing, somebody feeding a carrot and a horse can't eat a carrot. So there's just a lot of issues that I have, or a lot of concerns, not issues, but concerns. So I'd like to also just for you all to discuss the PD side of it, because I was not aware of that until I sat through this meeting. So thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate
Thank you, ma'am.
it.
And thanks for being in the community.
Thank you.
I love that this council really embodied the premier outdoor lifestyle community and really showcasing our equestrian community. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Are there any other residents that would like to speak for or against in this public hearing? Mr. Will?
Good evening. I'm Rob Whittle. I'm the president of Whittle Development, also of Heath Golf and Yacht Club, Inc., the owner of the property. Our company has owned this property 20 to 25 years. I actually bought the property when the owner of the 10 acres at the time, Stuart Kipnis, called me and asked me to buy it because he just didn't need that much property for horses anymore. We paid a premium at the time. But I'm going to give a bit of a history here. This development agreement, which was signed by the council, I carried around in a red book. It has been reviewed many times by many councils. The initial zoning was approved by unanimous city council, a body similar to this, unanimous, in 2007. The zoning ordinance was approved by unanimous city approval council in May of 2012. The development agreement, which the city drafted 95% of it, was approved August of 2013 by unanimous city council, all in public hearings. In this development agreement, here were the issues that covered what is now Heath Golf and Yacht, this 20 acres, and the 40 acres that we'll hear next. What it asked the developer to pay for with city-approved consultants was the following: a traffic impact study that impacted not only the 800 acres of Heath Golf and Yacht, but this 20 acres and the other 40. That's very clear in the development agreement. We are also asked to pay for a water impact study, which has had, well, we did. We were asked to pay for a wastewater study for the entire property, which we did. We were asked to pay for a drainage analysis study, which we did. Then, as part of this development agreement, we were asked to provide a 20-foot wide sewer line easement so that Rush Creek, which actually had a sewer treatment plant at the time, but it didn't have an easement. We granted that to the city at no charge. Then that sewer treatment plant was converted to a lift station by the city, and we were asked to pay for three-phase power. Wildly expensive because there was no roads to where that was at, which we paid for. Then, after the water study, the city management team, with the approval of the council, asked us to remove ourselves from the Forney Lake water system, which was a huge ask because we had all the water lines we needed on our property. Forney Lake wasn't asking for a dime from us. They were glad to provide the water. At the time, the city wanted us to do that because of the bonding ability from that water. And they said, Rob, it'll be a lot cheaper for the city if you'll do it instead of us trying to take it. We agreed and we did. Then there was a request to extend a 12-inch water line from what is now McCrummon Estates so that the city could increase their water availability, et cetera, which we did. Then we funded the 100% of the cost of an 18-inch water line. Remember, all because of that water study, not for just Heath Golf and Yacht, but this 20 acres and the other 40. Then we were asked to pay for 3,280 feet, over half a mile of Hubbard Drive, and none of our homes front Hubbard. It runs across the back. We didn't need Hubbard Drive. We agreed to do that. Then the causeway blew out during a storm. We were asked to step forward several years before we had to and pay for that. A couple of $1 million. I didn't build that little pipe that went underneath that causeway. It was done in the 70s. We got here in 81. We did that. And then, in this development agreement, because of the water impact study, the city came to me and said, Rob, in addition to impact fees, which every developer and builder pays by ordinance, we would like you to pay $5.1 million in addition to that so that we can provide water in the future. And that was set up, so my first check was a cashier's check, which I delivered to the city, of $1 million. And since then, we've delivered cashier's checks to the city of $4.1 million, $5.1 million that no developer has ever been asked to do. Now, let me tell you why we've done that. First, we're a team player, period end. I live in our city. I love our city. I think Heath is the best city in America, and I believe it. But that also means, as a business owner, I've got to do my part, and we do it. We do it 100% of the time. This agreement, which you've got a copy of, 2 pages of it, This 20 acres and this 40 acres, which will be next, the council said, Rob, we're looking at what your density is on Heath Golf and Yacht, which is not 1 acres. You know, they're much smaller. We would like you to agree to do SF 43, and if you want to do more, we would ask that you would come back and let's discuss it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for exactly what the council asked me to do, SF 43. By the way, my neighbor, who is a delightful person, she mentioned the schools. It came up in the planning and zoning meeting also. Guys, me and another guy, we donated the site for Linda Lyon. We didn't have to do that. We donated the site. And then the school district at the time was still bent on putting the next elementary, not where it is today, but it was around the corner, kind of down White Road from Chandler's Landing. So I went to the school board, and they said, Rob, our demographer says it'll never fill up there. I said, I tell you what, your demographer in Dallas is wrong, but I tell you what, I've already agreed to donate the site. I'll build your sewer for you. I'll build your water for you. I pushed so many chips on the table that they finally, by the way, Linda Lyon is full. It's an amazing school. My daughter, other than this year, has been a teacher there since the day it opened. My grandchildren go to school there. It's a fantastic school. I agree with everybody. We need more room for schools. We need more roads. We need more water. But we don't only just do our part. We do way beyond. And I'm glad to do it. The flip side of that is I'd like the council to honor what 3 city councils voted unanimously to do. The other comment about the trees. I'll bet $1,000 against $1 that I've planted and transplanted more trees than anybody in the history of Heath, Texas. This 20 acres, it's already got an existing tree line down the left and the right. Those ponds where my grandsons fish and I fish, those ponds are staying. That's the reason a lot of the opposition came in. People thought I was going to fill the ponds. Not in a million years. And then with my neighbor, she raised a good point at the planning and zoning. I said, you know what? I'll bring trees in along that also. And then she and I had a wonderful conversation within the last 24 hours. She said, Mr. Whittle, but sometimes we have to maintain our fence. It's a pipe fence for the horses. I said, I'll even give you an easement to allow that. When I turn my plat in, you'll see it on the plat. We always do what we say we'll do. Always. And I'm just simply asking you for approval of this 20 acres and the 40 to honor the agreement that's been in place now for 14 years. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Are there any other residents that would like to speak for or against in this public hearing? I'll give you a minute to think about it. Sometimes the nerves kick in. You don't want to get up, but you really do. Very well. At this time, we will close the public hearing at 7:58. All right, council, we just heard from the applicant, but you may have questions for staff or the applicant. So at this time, the floor is open for any questions. No questions for the applicant? Councilman Dotson?
Rob, you had talked about if you could...
If you could take the lectern
Thanks.
to have the applicant speak, thank you.
Rob, you talked about sort of the satisfaction of the tree lines and what have you there. In speaking with the individual that spoke earlier,
Sure.
Is the existing tree line sufficient enough to cause the separation, if you will, from existing properties to your proposed properties?
Yet the one that we'll be planting along that fence line, absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay.
I got one question.
Councilman Myers?
Yeah. Looking at the way you got this laid out, Rob, I see where you're on the north side, I'm gonna call it the north side between the property there. That's where you're presuming, or you're going to plant the trees.
Yes.
You're gonna leave all of the trees on, I'm gonna call it the east and west side.
That's
Well,
correct.
Your map is different than my map, so, up here. So, I'm saying, yeah. I'm gonna call that a north and a south. And
Plant north.
Yeah.
That's what we call it in my world.
Yeah. So, but then you're gonna plant the one, I'm gonna say the east.
Johnny, that's correct.
Okay.
That is absolutely, in fact, I stand by a statement I made at Planning and Zoning. Once that's in, no one will be able to see these 13 lots from any direction.
Right.
It is a very secluded, beautiful place.
And so what you're recommending is that you would do a landscape easement?
Yeah, it'll be on my plat.
Okay,
It'll be filed of record.
okay. So on the record, you're committing that if approved, you would do a landscape easement for separation?
That's correct.
Very well. Are there further questions for the applicant?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Dodson?
So Rob, can you talk to the approximate size and pricing for the homes in these estates, please?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I'll speak to this a little bit more strongly on the 40 acres.
Right.
But that said, these lots start at 250,000 and they go to 750,000. In our industry, in the building development industry, even though it's not a federal law, generally people build 4 to 5 times what they pay for a lot. So in essence, these homes will range from $1,250,000 to $2 million. And it'll be a little more obvious, I think, Scott, on the 40 acres, where we're absolutely mirroring the hills of Buffalo Creek without the guard gate.
Right.
But this is almost the same. But anyway, these lots are 250 to 750, and the homes will be $1.2 million to $2 million.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Any further questions for the applicant?
I have one more question.
Councilwoman Thurgood?
How many years have you been, I guess, doing business within the city of Heath?
45 years,
45.
1981. We are the largest developer in the history of Heath. We have 1,540 homes are in our community at an average of 3 homes, 3 people per home, 4,500 people out of the 11,500 in Heath live in our communities. It's just under 40% of Heath lives in our communities. And we always do what we say we'll do.
That was my follow-up. Thank you.
And you're referencing Buffalo Creek as one of your developments?
Yes, Buffalo Creek, the hills of Buffalo Creek, Cobblestone Farms, Lafayette Point, Ambrosia Place.
Okay, thank you. I was unaware. Okay, very good. Any further questions, council, for the applicant? Very well. At this time, we will open the floor for discussion amongst ourselves. Any items for discussion? Councilwoman
Mr.
Horns?
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to address the fact that we did have a significant number of people that wrote in opposed to this. And I want everyone to know that, you know, we read through those, and in myself reading through them, a lot of the concerns were, oh, all this density, we don't need, I think one of them said apartments, we don't need. And so I just want the public to be aware that we're hearing your concerns about density. And that is why we have established the comprehensive plan. And in the comprehensive plan, 1 home, 1 acre is the requirement. And then ultimately zoning decisions, they're based on balancing the property owner's rights with the public's opinions of what should go on that property. And the applicant has met the requirements of the comprehensive plan. So we look at that when we make decisions. I just want the public to know that we are hearing what you're saying. And speaking for myself, I don't want density any more than anyone else. But what the applicant is creating here seems to fit in with everything that we look for in these planned developments. So I just wanted to point that out.
Very good. Thank you, Councilwoman Horn. Councilman Dodson?
To Councilwoman Horn's point, a nearby community, the city of Sunnyvale, voted down a straight zoning application for a developer that was to comply with all of their ordinances. And they went to court, and the developer won, and they put in Section 8 housing. So we have ordinances on the books, and probably the strongest ordinances in any community in North Texas. And they're getting more strict as we go forward with anti-monotony, with the move towards SFE 3.0 and everything else. But there's a huge encroachment happening right now in Austin. And we will see very shortly a bill that was voted on this last legislature that will require every community, every municipality in the state of Texas to designate an area for Section 8 and HUD housing. And each one of our representatives voted for that. Not on this dais, but the representatives at the state. So the state is continuing to look and to encroach on our ability to manage zoning and manage development based on what they think and what they would like development to look like for the state of Texas. So we need to be very, very clear, and if you don't think it can get a lot worse, somebody from the government showing up saying, hey, I'm with the government, I'm here to help, is never really the case. So that is happening right now in real time. And that
Staff, don't take any offense to that.
No.
I'm just trying to keep it clear. I don't need them getting sad. Unfortunately, we can't take questions. I know.
But anyway, to dovetail into Councilwoman Horn's point, there are precedents that exist now out in nearby communities that we really have to be mindful of. And as applicants come forward, if they are stating that they're going to comply with the ordinances that we have on the books, and we still deny them for reasons outside of non-compliance, then we can and will be held subject to any type of litigation that can take place should the applicant decide to move in that direction. So again, it's a balancing act.
Great, great address as far as what's going on at the state. One thing that I would add to that is we recently saw that the state actually took zoning powers away from cities and then bracketed the bill based upon population. And so luckily for us, our population is 11,000, so it didn't hit us. But those of you that are in the audience or listening at home, that was one reason that our Economic Development Corporation actually purchased all of the soon-to-be or for-sale properties across the street because we saw that they were in committee to try to do that. And I can tell you across the county, the measures that the mayors took, the county judge, we went down to Austin, we met with people, and I don't, in these elected roles, it's always a little bit iffy to talk, candidly about things that you hear in Austin, but I think it's important that you hear this. Two mayors, myself and another mayor, had a conversation with one of our elected officials in Austin that represents all of us. And the other mayor was asking questions about, hey, we got to figure out how to protect open spaces. We need to think about, and for me, I'm an old rider years ago. A lot of people don't know that. I put on a suit, but boy, I like some cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and I used to ride. And we got to talking to this elected official and said, how do we protect these large plots of land? And he looked at both of us and he said, well, you got a bunch of rich people that live there. Tell them to go buy it, and then they can do whatever they want with it. That's the elected officials at the state. Okay, so as the local elected body, we are trying to stay on this fine line We want to keep things out of the judicial system. I don't necessarily need to point out when myself and Mayor Pro Tem and Councilman Mormon took office, we were spending a little over $1.2 million in litigation. We were fighting being sued by a developer. We were fighting our tree ordinance and trying to defend ourselves against utility districts. I mean, we were spending our ad valorem, and if you really kind of look at your ad valorem, which is your property tax, in a bucket of about $9 million a year, which is our hard-earned money that we pay, and the city gets a piece of it. The ISD gets a piece of it, right? And so we're sitting there, and the county gets a piece of it. And we're sitting here trying to figure out, how are we going to fix roads? How in the world are we going to get the Key Drive? How are we going to get Hubbard done? How are we going to get Terry Lane done? How are we going to get these things done, right? That was the fear that we had to deal with. And so ultimately, as you look at the state, they're trying to take these powers away from us. And so we want to stay out of litigation. Rob, I appreciate that you came here without a barrage of attorneys. I've sat at the desk, and I've sat here, and there was a team of attorneys that were trying to power drive the council and tell them, hey, if you do this or you go against this, it was a straight zoning case. We're going to sue you. And man, there was so much extra time as a volunteer board that we had to figure out how to navigate that and stay away from that. But we don't want to waste those taxpayer dollars and spend a large chunk. In the private sector, we would never do that. There's not enough ROI on it. And so what we were able to do is get out of litigation and learn to work with people and trying to figure out how to make things happen. The concern I have with this, and just being full candor with the council here, is that this was an agreement that goes back to 2013. And I can tell you, it is hard being an elected official. You're sitting here looking at something maybe you don't even like. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just simply saying that, hey, if I want more equestrian, I want more open space, I want all this other stuff. Well, this was something that was agreed upon in 2013. I know the history of Heath Golf and Yacht. I know what John Ratcliffe, our current CIA director, did when he was the mayor in trying to protect the city. They weren't even home rule yet. And he was annexing, I believe it was Crestview, to get the population count high enough so he could be home rule, so he'd have more power for annexation purposes, so he could protect this whole Heath Golf and Yacht. Was a power struggle between the city of Heath and the city of Dallas. And what they had planned, and I'm not trying to over dramatize this, but it's my understanding years ago that what they had planned was much higher density than what we are seeing today. And even inside of HGYC, for the totality of 800 acres and what that could have been, right here on what at that time would have been the edge of Heath. We've already seen what the edges of Heath, if we don't try to protect it, what that can look like. And so tonight, we're sitting here talking about 1 acre lots. We're talking about 13 acres. I'd like to see this be a horse farm. I'd like to see this be an equestrian. I want to promote that thing all day, every day. I'm just not sure that this is the property in which we can do it, because we have an agreement that dates back to 2013. And I am proud of the work that John Ratcliffe did. I am proud of the work that Lauren Lichty did, and those other mayors that sat here and those councils that had to make some very tough decisions. Heath has developed into something that is dramatically different than what it was in 2009. I can tell you, I've had the luxury of talking to many of those mayors on that wall. And they're surprised at what it's turned into. And they're excited about what it's turned into. So for that would be my concern. And I recognize what you're trying to propose is 1 acre lots, and you're trying to be in compliance with the straight zoning case. I would also say that your landscape easement is a great thing to address, and being a good listener to the residents that are here, and keep up the great work as a equestrian, beautiful, amazing property that you guys do such great work. But that's my opinion. Again, the floor is open, council, for further discussion. If there are no further discussion items, I will open the floor to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance case number ZA-2026-4 and changing the zoning from agriculture district to SF 43 single family residential district for the approximately 20.99 acres tract as presented by staff.
Very good. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Very well. We have a second by Councilwoman Thurgood. I'm going to pause for a moment for additional discussion and questions. If there are none, the motion moves. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. I know it's a hard decision, and we're working hard for the betterment of everybody. At this time, we'll move into 6.E, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Heath, Texas for case number ZA 20263, requesting to change the zoning from agricultural district to SF 43, single family residential district, and being a 40-acre parcel of land identified as 531 Hubbard Drive, situated in the J. Cantor Survey, Abstract 53, City of Heath, Rockwall County, Texas. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you noted, this request to change the zoning on the subject property off of 531 Hubbard Drive from agricultural to straight SF 43 zoning. Subject property is a little over 40 acres in size, and similar to the last request, the property is owned by Mr. Whittle, the developer of Heath Golf and Yacht Club. They're looking to facilitate the construction of a new 1-acre lot subdivision with approximately 27 lots on the 40 acres in this case. This property has a similar history to the last item in that it has been zoned agricultural for some time, but in 2013 it was included as part of that Heath Golf and Yacht Club Master Development Agreement and was not zoned as part of the plan development for the Heath Golf and Yacht Club originally. So it is still subject to the same requirements or entitlements that were established in the development agreement, and does need to go ahead and come forward for a zoning change if they want to develop those 1-acre lot sizes here. One key difference is the master development agreement for the Heath Golf and Yacht Club did include this exhibit that you see on screen here for Parks and Trails. It's a Parks and Trail Network plan that does extend to cover the subject property. So you can see here at the Plan North, top of the page here, there is a red dashed line indicating a trail that extends from one of the recent phases of Heath Golf and Yacht Club here, south of the subject property, along the tree line, and north to a trailhead that currently terminates behind McCrummon Estates. As part of the development agreement, it identifies that this trail would be installed by the developer, and if so, that fee in lieu of parkland dedication or direct parkland dedication requirements that would typically be in place would be waived. The developer has provided a concept plan that we'll look at here for this site as well. It's difficult to see with the aerial background on screen, but you do have a copy in your packet. What I'll point out here is the lots are centered on a gently meandering street that extends from Hubbard Drive and terminates in a cul-de-sac here. There is a street connection proposed to New Dawn Way that extends from the current Heath Golf and Yacht Club property boundary. Notably, there is not a connection shown on this concept plan to Everett Place, which is a street stub that was installed as part of the development of McCrummon Estates to establish a second point of emergency access to that subdivision. The final item I'll note on here is the trail alignment that's proposed with this concept plan, or shown on the concept plan rather, as opposed to running along the southern portion of the property. It's actually going to extend along New Dawn Way to the northern side of the property, run between McCrummon Estates to that current trailhead terminus. So it's a different route than what's currently in place. The future land use designation for this property is medium density residential, so equating to the 1-acre minimum lot size. This is similar to the last case in that the surrounding property, aside from Heath Golf and Yacht Club, shares that medium density future land use designation. Public notices were issued for this property in compliance with state law that covered all adjacent properties within 500 feet. We received 26 letters of support. Notably, the notification buffer included quite a bit of recently developed properties that are still in the hand of the developers. That's where many of those letters are coming from. We received 20 letters of opposition for the applicant's request that covered a number of concerns stemming from increased density and infrastructure capacity, all the way through potential for habitat destruction or loss on the property as well. This property was in a similar situation as the last one as far as the comprehensive plan that was in place at the time the development agreement was approved. That was the 2008 comprehensive plan, which did share the same designation for future land use, which was minimum 1-acre lot size. The Planning and Zoning Commission on July 7th did move to recommend approval of this request in a 5-to-1 vote. And outside of that motion, they did just note to the developer their preference for the trail alignment to remain as shown on the development agreement exhibit, which is the same alignment that's on the City of Heath Master Trail Plan. So it was not included in the motion, but was a specific point of discussion before the motion. Staff's recommendation, I'm just going to point out again that this is consistent with the future land use designation that was in place at the time the development agreement was executed, and ultimately discretion remains in the hands of City Council to act on this request. I'm available for any questions you may have, and the developer has some material as well that you'll see them put up here in a moment.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. King. At this time, council, do you have any questions for staff? If there are no questions for staff, then we'll have the applicant.
As I stated before, it's part of the same development agreement with the same dates. Some of the early comments at Planning and Zoning, interestingly, were people who thought there were going to be small lots and small homes. Again, a lot of nice folks showed up from both McCrumman and also from Lee Drive and Michael Drive. Because it was a zoning request, even though we had turned in a concept plan at the request of Mr. Dormeyer, obviously it was a zoning, so folks didn't know what it was. One of the things in your packet that we've included is the lot size of every lot that's adjoining us. Now, our lots are 1 acre or bigger. Every lot that's adjoining us is a ½ acre, 0.6 of an acre, and there's 2 that are 1 acre. But everything, generally speaking, on either side of us is ½ acre. I will say that there had been a break for executive session. We got a chance to visit with some folks, and when we showed them the plan, a lot of that concern went away. Several, again, very, very nice ladies who live along Lee and Michael have beehives on the back of their property, and they were concerned that their bees, because they come over on our property, and I don't know that there's a lot we can do about that. But the other 3 issues that were raised by planning and zoning.
Bees or the people come over? Just kidding.
Yeah, I will say, remember, I love our city, and I've been doing this a long time, 45 years. On a lighthearted note, I've heard that through many zoning meetings about concern about the cows and the horses. It was the first time about the bees, but they were passionate. But let me tell you, there were 3 concerns that were raised by the Planning and Zoning Commission. One was, Rob, we'd like to see I keep referencing the hills of Buffalo Creek. If you know much about the hills adjacent to Kane Middle School, that was a second acquisition by our company after we developed Buffalo Creek. Buffalo Creek's 700 acres. We recognized that there was a need for folks who loved Buffalo Creek. They just wanted a bigger lot. And so when I developed the hills, it's part of the Buffalo Creek Homeowners Association, it was a huge hit. One of the things I put in your packet is the assessed tax value of those lots and those homes, and they range basically from $1.2 million to about $3 or $4 million. This particular community, the estates of Heath Golf and Yacht, I'm telling y'all, it's a clone of the hills, other than not a private guard gate right there. Period. So it's a clone. So the planning and zoning said, well, Rob, we'd like to see the deed restrictions, even though we know you can't file them until you file a final plat. So we furnished those to the city. Y'all, they are verbatim from the hills. which is a 5,000 square foot minimum home. Same masonry requirements, et cetera, et cetera. The second thing was they wanted more of the original concept we put in straight. They said we'd like to see it more curved, which we did. And the third thing was they said, Rob, what will the entrance look like? There was a concern raised that it would just be a street just coming off of Hubbard. So that's what you see here, and that's exactly what we'll build. The only thing that I think has come up that's a concern, and I'm just telling you, during the final plating stage, we'll do whichever way the council wants, is on the trail. That trail plan currently, I mean, the cost to us is the same. I mean, it's the same length. The trail currently is almost in a creek bottom, okay? There's a lot of water comes down that creek. My strong opinion is that it'll be difficult to navigate. Whereas the trailhead right now at McCrummen, and I've ran that trail a lot, just not as fast as I used to, but I still get there. It'll still tie right into that trailhead. And what we'll do, if the council, when we get to final plat, allows us to, as Zach pointed out, we'll come across on New Dawn, we'll come down the common property line with McCrummen, but the one planning and zoning commission member said, yeah, but I like the fact it's in the trees. We'll put on our final plat, we'll just go ahead and plant trees down both sides of that trail, okay, on us. It'll be a tree-lined trail and not in the floodplain. So I personally think that's the right way to go, but we'll do whatever the council wishes at that time. But other than that, again, we'd just like to honor the agreement. It's in compliance with the land use plan. Zach pointed out, there's not a connection to McCrummen, but if you look at those two lots, and I know we're not in platting right now, you look at those two lots, you'll notice they're wider than the other lots. We've done that so that if the council were to say, Mr. Whittle, we want you to tie it in, we're going to do whatever the council says. However, having talked to a lot of folks in McCrummen Estates, they do not want that connection made. Their concern, which I believe is valid, people will be cutting through McCrummen to come in here, to come in. And their point is, Mr. Whittle, we don't want that connection. There's no benefit to us. But again, I'm going to do whatever. And you'll notice that the concept plan that I've turned in, those lots are wide enough that if the council says, no, we want a street there, then we'll do that. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Council, any questions for the applicant?
Rob, sorry.
Councilman Dodson.
Sorry, I waited for you to step. I just wanted to check your lateral movement.
You know, if this council thing doesn't work out, late night TV could be.
That's all right. Similar question as to the last item that you presented. In terms of average cost of home and size of homes for these estate lots, you had mentioned parallel, I think you used the word clone, to the hills of Buffalo Creek. I live in Buffalo Creek, and the hills is a great development over there.
Yes.
Expansive homes, larger lots, et cetera. What are the size of the homes that you're proposing to put here?
The minimum is 5,000 square feet.
Right.
And one of the things that I put in there, Mr. Dotson, was a list of the square footage in your packet of every home in the hills of Buffalo Creek.
Right.
With a minimum of 5,000. I personally believe it's going to be, if I were guessing, your average is going to be between 7,000 and 8,000 square feet. But we'll have a minimum in our deed restriction, just like the hills, of 5,000 feet. What actually happens in our industry, it's, been doing it forever. There's a point where a homeowner, it doesn't become need anymore, right? I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know what that number used to, it used to be 3,400 square feet. Most people, that's a need. After that, it's just something you'd like to have. But here's what happens at 5,000 square feet. You've already paid for the land. You've already paid for the pool. You've already paid for the tennis court. There's just something in us that says, gosh, I know the minimum's 5,000, but let's go ahead and step up to 7,000 or 8,000 square feet. It's just the way it works. So if I were guessing, you're going to see a lot of homes that are in that 7,000 to 8,000 foot range, but the minimum will be exactly what the Hills is at 5,000 square feet.
One of the things I've noticed is certainly with the movement of professional athletes, high net worth individuals, retired executives, et cetera, they're certainly looking for that sort of step up in terms of the types of houses that they own.
Well, Scott, not only are you right, pardon me, losing my voice. What happens in someone place like Buffalo Creek or Heath Golf and Yacht, there's a segment of the population that loves golf. Thank God they do. I mean, and our course is private. It's doing extremely well. We're going to add a third 9 par 3 this fall. What happens, and the reason we're tying this in, is we know those high net worth folks, those athletes, they want a golf course. They want to be able to just jump in their cart and get in a car and just run down to the clubhouse. We already see that. This will just take that to another level.
Thanks, Rob.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any further questions for the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Whittle. At this time, we will go into a public hearing at 8:30. If there are any residents that would like to speak for or against. Yes, sir.
My name is Dave Prokowski. I live at 325 Dominion Place. Mr. Will, your son-in-law and daughter built my house. Thank you. My question is for the city council, and I appreciate the need for equestrian. I really do appreciate that. I bought the property that is adjacent to this. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we bought, and it's just like heaven sent, okay? So I'm with you, Mayor, with building out and keeping large areas. But at the same time, why aren't we talking about I'm retired, good net worth. We want a city like this. Why aren't we talking about the benefits of tax assessments for our city in general? Why isn't that, I'm just a question, why isn't that brought up as part of this? Because again, it brings in, high wealth and a better living for us as compared to other cities that are around us that aren't like that we don't want to do. So I'm wondering, why isn't there a bigger argument for that?
Very good. Thank you, sir. As I've stated in public hearing, it's really not a Q&A. However, I'm always happy to address a really easy answer. I think as the council looks at this, and I can't speak for everybody, we very much do. I mean, we constantly talk about our needs for ad valorem, but I can say that we don't make decisions with that being first, because our quality of life. I mean, we all live here. And so, I'm just like everybody else. I mean, sometimes I just want to close my door and let that be the last one that was closed and built here. But at the same time, we are very pragmatic to understand that yes, there are secondary benefits to our quality of life by bringing alive properties that bring in that ad valorem. So hopefully that maybe answers your question without doing a Q&A. Are there any other residents that would like to speak for or against? We'll give it a moment. Very well. At this time, we will close the public hearing at 8:33. The chair will open the floor to allow more discussion if there are any discussion items and or questions for staff. If there's not, the only real concern, which I addressed kind of on the last agenda item, is it again is part of the master development. I mean, this is literally an exclusion of zoning, but it was in the developer's agreement as if state, a future state, that's what this would be, right? And so there is that. That's a major concern. I also looked at what planning and zoning. I thought that they asked really great questions, and really they're an appointed body that helps represent the council and helps us really vet applicants and other items. The only concern I would have is again, with the McCrummon, and again, I don't live in McCrummon, and I've not solicited McCrummon. I don't know if they want an interconnected road. I just know that it was obviously part of that plan whenever this was all being planned, where you wouldn't have dead-end streets into this 40 acres, right? So in plating, if this were approved this evening, I would say that is going to be a major item that I'm going to have some concerns with. I think that what you've done with the hills is a beautiful product for the city. Again, I understand the master plan and how this got here and what councils before us were trying to do with the 800 acres and respect all of that. I do think that ultimately, if built appropriately, it could be a nice asset to the city, and you would have two trails. We're only talking about one that's a McCrummon connector into HGYC, but there's also the Hubbard Drive that, as we're currently rebuilding Hubbard Drive, we're trying to bring in that trail all the way up around the waterway, then back up Hubbard, and then it would get to this property and essentially stop, right? If this property is not developed before the trail continues on to Town Center at the corner of 740 and Hubbard. So that's another point of reference. Are there any other discussion topic items, council? All right, very well. I would also note too, and I read through all of the concerns that residents have. I hope tonight that we've addressed water. I think it's important that people understand water. We're addressing water. Water's being fixed. That's something that this council's worked diligently on, and I think you guys have all heard that tonight. But it's also important to note, and some people that might have been at some council meetings before, when we talk about water, we have a CCN, so we're the water provider. The moment that we say that we can't provide water to a property, you got a whole different ball game that you got to deal with. You have the public utility right at the state level, okay? So it's not as easy as just saying, hey, look, I want to water my yard more. I don't want to water twice a week, right? So don't allow property rights to happen over here because I want to water more. It's just not that clean and simple. I kind of wish it was. It's not. So water is being addressed. We've got a plan, and that's moving forward. We talk about traffic. You guys had to do a traffic study. This was obviously years ago, right? But there's been other developments that have happened. You got Dominion, you have McCrummon, right? You've got secondary developments that have happened since all of this stuff was happening. So again, traffic for 27 homes, really, really tough to say that would contradict something that was agreed upon since 2013. So again, hard spot, hard to be a volunteer, hard to be a resident, hard to be a taxpayer up here and want to upset other residents. So just want to make that very, very clear. Are there any other questions or concerns for discussion, council? If not, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the ordinance granting zoning change application ZA-2026-3, rezoning the 40-acre tract at 531 Hubbard Drive from agricultural district to SF-43 single-family residential district as presented and approved as to form.
Very well. We have a motion on the floor as stated. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Ombie. I will pause for further discussion and deliberation. If there are none, motion moves. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. And again, thank you to the residents for listening, as well as giving us Very valuable feedback.
Thank you all very much.
Hard decisions.
Very proud of what we do.
Thank you, Rob. Moving into agenda item 6.f, to conduct a public hearing and discussion regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 budget and plan of municipal services. Mr. Ayers.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is to conduct a public hearing and receive comments from citizens of Heath for the FY27 proposed budget. Just a recap of the budget calendar. On July 13th, we filed the proposed budget with the city secretary and shared that information with the city council, you all, and the finance board. On the 14th, Mr. Alexander, city manager, presented the components of the proposed budget to city council, and as well, you all called for the public hearing that we're scheduled to have today. July 21st, we had our Finance Board Budget Workshop on July 21st. We did receive the certified rolls from the Rockwall Central Appraisal District early. They were able to do the TNT calculations for us, so we'll be presenting that to you all. That's up for vote later on in tonight's City Council meeting, in which we will record the proposed the vote on the proposed tax rate and schedule that public hearing. On August 5th, we're scheduled to have the FY27 proposed budget review with you all as well, which will also include the 10-year capital plan that will be presented in that workshop. And August the 11th is the day that we're going to conduct the public hearing on the tax rate, as well as the adoption of the budget and the tax rate, as well as the rate and fee schedule. And staff's recommendation, that's the end of that presentation. Staff's recommendation is to open up the public hearing to receive comments on the FY27 proposed budget.
All right, very well. If there's no questions for staff on this item, we will move into a public hearing and open this public hearing at 8:41. Are there any residents that would like to speak for or against? Going once, twice. I hate to do it within the 1 minute. It's like, hold it.
Just do it.
Very well. At this time, we will close the public hearing at 8:41.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Alexander.
just real quick, at the conclusion of this public hearing, we do need you to table action on the proposed budget to the August 11th meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
That concurs with my notes. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. I appreciate that. You read my mind or my paper. At this time, the chair will open the floor and request a motion to table action to August 11th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Horn. Motion moves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. Thank you, council. I almost forgot to vote. All right, moving into agenda item number 7. These are items for individual consideration. So we have passed through our public hearings. And 7.A, discussion and action regarding case number FP 266, a request by Cameron Sloan, PE, for the approval of a final plat for Founders Reserve, being a 22.357 acre tract of land situated in the Edward Teal Survey, abstract number 207, and zoned for SF 43, single-family residential district land uses, and generally situated at the northeast quadrant of the intersection of Lawrence Drive and FM 549, and situated east of Heath Hog Drive, City of Heath, Rockwall County. Mr. King.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. As you noted, this is a final plat application for Founders Reserve. This was previously brought before you earlier this year as a preliminary plat under the name of Savannah Acres. So they have changed the name here, but it is the same development as Savannah Acres that was proposed previously. This plat covers 18 single-family lots and 1 detention lot, as we'll see in just a moment. A bit of background on the property. It is located within an SF 43 single-family residential zoning district, which has a minimum lot size of 1 acre. The future land use designation for the property is consistent with that zoning, as in medium-density residential here. And the request for this property, the owners have accumulated a number of properties here along Lawrence Drive, FM 740, totaling 22.3 acres. What you'll see on screen here is just the plat itself. A bit of context, the property is situated across the street from the high school on Lawrence Drive, just to help you place that along Lawrence there. They are proposing a primary road that extends from Lawrence called Founders Boulevard and extends into 2 cul-de-sacs that terminate on the southern side of the property here. The 18 single-family lots that are proposed here were reviewed by staff, and after a number of iterations, reviews and resubmittals with the applicant, we have ensured that they do comply with the zoning requirements as far as dimension and setback requirements. All lots except one are going to be accessed internally from the subdivision. That is not from Lawrence Drive. Lot 19 is that lone standout that is isolated. It only fronts Lawrence Drive, so only has ability to access from Lawrence. There is an existing driveway in the area of this lot that the applicant is proposing to keep and utilize. It's important to note that there are a number of existing houses that were recently demolished that had existing driveways fronting Lawrence, so we're actually going to be able to reduce the number of driveways that are onto Lawrence directly here. The one detention lot that's proposed for the site is a detention and open space lot here at the southeast corner. They're proposing to grade and dig out a detention area to handle drainage requirements for the site. There is an existing stock pond on the property that received some discussion at the preliminary plat stage that's proposed to be filled in. This is, it's not a jurisdictional water, it is just an old stock pond. There is also one other existing pond near the southern extent of the property, right here where my cursor is at, that is partially split by the property line. They're looking to keep that in place for the most part. Water service for the property will be provided by extending water lines that are currently stubbed across Lawrence Drive. They will be looping the water line system to make sure we can have adequate pressure and flow through the subdivision. Those water lines will extend through the street and then will cross through a 15-foot water line easement, generally where my cursor is here, back to the southern portion of the property and out to the street. Typically, we would have those water lines be located entirely within the right-of-way, but in this case, the only way to achieve that loop system that was necessary was through easements that are going to be dedicated via this plat across private property. With the preliminary plat, there was extensive discussion regarding sewer service or lack thereof to the property. This property is isolated to some extent from existing sanitary sewer lines that are in the City of Heath system. After discussion, City Council did ultimately move to allow with the preliminary plat on-site sewage facilities or septic systems to serve each individual residential lot. That is still proposed with this final plat. Finally, to address drainage, I noted all drainage, for the most part, not quite all, but most drainage is making its way to this detention pond that's being added at the southeast corner of the property. There is several lots here towards the front that do currently drain naturally to the smaller pond that shares the property line right about here. I believe this is lot 15. They're proposing with this final plat to have a private drainage easement that would include underground pipe with inlets to collect flow from these lots and get it to that pond to maintain that current drainage pattern. Everything else ultimately will make its way to the detention pond. We are currently reviewing a civil construction permit that's been submitted for this development. It's under review right now. The latest version is consistent for the most part with the plat, but we're going through that technical review. This is just a snip for reference of the grading and drainage plan that was provided with that civil construction permit that shows how they're properly accounting for grading and drainage on the site with this development. The freshwater pond I mentioned, that the stock pond that is being removed is shown here. You can see on the east side of the property, and again, it is not identified here as a jurisdictional waterway, so it's important to note. The treescape plan has been prepared for the property since the Planning and Zoning Commission acted on this on July 7th. The applicant has provided an updated treescape plan that we've been able to review and verify it does comply with our requirements for the site. So the proposal has reduced the number of trees that were going to be removed. This was a topic of discussion at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting where it was unclear exactly how they were going to meet the requirements of our tree preservation ordinance. In this case, by removing the number of trees they're proposing to, or limiting, I should say, the number of trees they're proposing to remove with the development, they bring down their mitigation requirements to a sufficient degree that they can replant enough trees and provide a small fee in lieu of replanting for 49 caliper inches worth of trees that are going to be removed to satisfy our requirements here. While not attached directly to the plat itself, the applicant has provided entry and trail concept plans to help give you a better idea of what this development will look like at build-out. So pulling out a few key things here on the frontage of the property along Lawrence, there are a couple of landscape easements that are proposed to be dedicated on the private lots between where the homes will sit and Lawrence Drive to help provide a better buffer there, as well as a landscaped entry feature and median. On the detention pond area, based on a request from Council and P&Z during the preliminary plat stage, they have added a decomposed granite trail that will wrap around the detention pond to be installed by the developer. There are sufficient notes that have been added to the plat and the dedication language to identify that the developer will be responsible for installing these items. What is shown here is the trail wrapping around into what would be a preserved tree line below the detention outfall and back to the public sidewalk that will run along the streets here. This is a conceptual rendering of the entry feature that's proposed here. You can see the divided median here with an entry monument, as well as some monumentation. These are solid block that would be stacked about 4 feet tall, just to help provide a place of entry, a good feature and landmark along Lawrence Drive here. This is an aerial view that gives a better perspective of the surface material that's proposed for the street at the immediate entry. This is a specialized kind of paver block that is proposed before we transition to a typical concrete street. Again, just to distinguish the subdivision to some degree from what would typically be present. As far as parkland dedication is concerned, this was a recommended condition of approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission that we'll see in a moment, that they comply with our parkland dedication requirements. In this case, they are proposing to meet our requirements by providing fee in lieu based on our fee schedule, as opposed to providing an actual parkland dedication. That fee in lieu would work out to $63,722 and change, and the applicant has acknowledged this requirement, and they're certainly willing to address that. We would receive that those fees prior to filing the final plat. As far as the comprehensive plan is concerned, our 2025 comprehensive plan does identify a few items that are important for consideration at the time of platting. These items were identified for the applicant, and they provided a brief response. I won't go into great detail on each one, but the applicant's response is provided in your packet, and they're certainly available to answer any questions that you have regarding those items. Generally speaking, it speaks to an explanation of how this might preserve prominent features or preserve the natural landscape, and provide items that are amenity elements that help set the development apart from a typical subdivision. As far as the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation on this item, they did recommend approval subject to a few conditions here. Those conditions are related to the park fees that I mentioned, which the applicant has agreed to address. There was also a condition that essentially stating that they will meet drainage requirements for the site, as in no lot-to-lot drainage for the property. Based on revisions that we've received since the Planning and Zoning Commission made this motion, we've got an updated plat, an updated civil construction permit. As I noted, they are going to be able to address this requirement in the same fashion that they were able to display with the preliminary plat when approved earlier this year. So they've backed off from some changes that were originally proposed after the preliminary plat to something the staff is comfortable with here. Finally, the last couple items here are going to be related to compliance with the tree mitigation items that I mentioned earlier. After receiving their updated treescape plan, they are in compliance with that requirement as well. I mentioned we received an updated plat from them last week. After review of that item, we were able to identify a few other technical notes that do need to be addressed that came up as part of the revisions. Not intentionally, these are technical items that I'll point out first on condition number 2, that is in some revisions to the plat related to easement labeling and references. There were some textual errors that need to be cleaned up there as far as how those easements were labeled. So the applicant's aware of that, and we'll be able to address that prior to plat filing. The other two items that you'll see here are just the continued requirement for payment of parkland dedication fees, and finally, that the applicant will be compliant with the portion of our subdivision ordinance that requires a facilities agreement to ultimately be executed to provide service to the property. Per state law, I'll just note that plat review and approval is a ministerial function, and the motion by City Council based on that does need to be specific. That motion would be to either approve with conditions citing specific statutes or ordinance sections, as we've noted above here, or to disapprove with reasons citing, again, those specific statutes or ordinance sections. I'm available for any questions you may have, and the applicant is here tonight as well.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. King. If you could, just for the audience and anybody listening, what does ministerial mean? And is there a shot clock?
There is. That's a great question. So it is a shot clock. I'll address that first. So state law does require that the city, both staff, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and City Council take action on a plat within 30 days of submission. Specifically, we have to make sure that the plat is in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the first reviewing body, within 30 days of the application, and then on the next available City Council agenda for action. Otherwise, we might be in a scenario where the plat is just approved as is without action being taken. So this allows us, going through this review and approval process, to make sure we complete a full technical review to make sure there are items that are addressed for ordinance compliance reasons, as we cited earlier. Ministerial would be if they comply with all requirements of our subdivision ordinance, we're obligated to approve it in this sense.
All right, so just for anybody listening and anybody in the audience, I think it's always important to explain municipal jargon, state regulations, what a shot clock is, how the state requires you to get things done in a timely manner, or it's automatically approved under the idea of property rights, that you can't just keep things in a purgatory. And then also making sure that they're essentially addressing ministerial items that, hey, here's your laws on the books as it's required. So then that way, it's kind of like an open book test. Developers have the open book. They can review all that. They know what your requirements are. And so very much, when it's ministerial, it's got to be something very dramatic to say, hey, we can't approve that final plat.
Clear and obvious noncompliance.
Thank you. Okay. Very good. Council, at this time, if you have any questions for staff, the floor is open.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Dotson?
Zach, you call out open spaces. Can you point to the open spaces that are under consideration as a part of this plan?
Absolutely. So what's referenced here is one detention and open space lot. So it's labeled and identified as a combined lot, if you will. It is this lot here at the southeast corner. And I'll jump down to one of the conceptual plans that was provided to help display this a little better. What you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen in green is essentially the area that's going to be covered by the detention pond. The reddish-brown line that you'll see around that detention pond is the decomposed granite trail. Everything else contained within this lot boundary is proposed to be left essentially as is, more or less in a natural state, to allow that trail some room to wrap around the detention pond and get into the natural tree line.
Thank you. Next question. With regards to buffers or berms to existing properties, can you point that out, and can you talk to how P&Z and you have looked at this with regards to providing that partition, if you will, between what's being proposed and existing properties that are on the ground?
Absolutely. So as far as the specific berms or buffers that are proposed, it is exclusive to this portion of the property you see on the left-hand side of the screen, where 25-foot landscape easements are proposed. Those easements would include both landscaping, of course, and some berming along the frontage of the property. As far as the remainder of the property is concerned, let me jump to the treescape plan. This just identifies what trees in black are going to be left in their natural state. So these are trees that are present on the property that through the course of the development are not immediately proposed to be removed. If during home construction they were proposed to be removed at that time, we would have to revisit that. It's important to note that unlike the landscape easement at the front, these trees that you'll see in black, they're not contained within any sort of preservation easement that's proposed. So there's, in theory, nothing to stop future home builders from coming back and having another look at that. But as far as the developer is concerned, those would remain in place.
So if I'm to look at this, so plan north at the top, right, whatever the orientation is, that existing tree line will buffer from adjacent lots on the backside of that?
Correct.
Okay. And final question, and maybe, I don't know if you know this, or I can hold it for the applicant, much like the discussion with Mr. Whittle, the size of homes on this property and the expected price range of these homes as well. I know there's been a lot of discussion in the past about preserving value within our community and not putting smaller homes that could potentially be a detractor for adjoining or adjacent values.
Absolutely. And those questions do get outside of the framework of the plat specifically, so I will invite the developer here in just a moment.
Yep, that's fine. I'll hold that. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a great question. It's SF 43 straight zone. So when it was zoned, it's SF 43. So it's a minimum of 3,200 square feet. But we would love to hear what the developer has to say as far as his starting expectations. Are there any further questions for staff, council? I would like to know, great job, staff. I mean, as far as you guys really diving into tree mitigation with the developer. Also, there was discussion at great length about drainage and bringing some of those concerns that we heard from residents about bringing on the north side of this, bringing that drainage and piping that back to the main drain under the street. So great job for the applicant and staff to work on that. Minimizing the tree impact is very important to us, or we wouldn't have a tree ordinance. So that in and of itself was very good in trying to keep as many trees as possible. I did also see in the CCR great stuff. I mean, it's a minimum requirement of 8 trees per property. These are also, there were some concerns by residents about septic. Obviously, we talked at length about, septic. We would really like to have tied this into our wastewater system, but the distance in which that requirement would have been was potentially a hardship, and a massive hardship. And then also the other concerns about having to create a lift station, which is a whole nother ball of wax, which we've all talked about. But going back to the concern of septic, it was addressed in the CCR. So as far as having drip systems, so some concerns about, the smells or whatever. And I do believe it's septic, the property that's directly to the north of them. I'm not sure about the larger lots to the south of them. So I just wanted to call that out. CCR I thought was very, very thorough. Very good at this time. We'll have the applicant take the lectern. And council, you can, hey bud, how are you, sir? TMP has done a lot of work over the years, just so you know why I said, hey bud. He goes back all the way to Chris Cooney, council years ago. I think he's our longest reigning mayor. And so anyways, that's how we've met. So,
please don't hold that against me.
I'm not going to hold it against you. Chris Cooney's a great gentleman and did a lot of great things for the city. And TMP's done a lot of work for the city over the years. So very good, if you will.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name's Matt Atkins with TMP, 825 Waters Creek Boulevard, Suite M300, Allen, Texas, 75013, here on the behalf of the applicant and the owner. So, yes, Zach has done a great job explaining what we're planning on doing through this process. We've worked closely with staff to try to appease any concerns and to get those to a spot where you see it tonight that we think we're pretty proud of what we got here.
Very good. Thank you, sir. questions for the applicant? Council? I believe, Mr. Dodson, you had a question.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, very much. With regards to the size of the homes that you're proposing in this development and the price points that you're looking at for those homes.
Yes, sir. So the square footage of the homes, we expect to be 4,500 and up in square footage, and that the price point would be a minimum of $2.5 million.
Okay. All right.
Councilman Dodson's doing ad valorem math in his head.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't talk about tax money, but that's what he did.
I got my shoes off under the
That's
table.
what
I'm
he
using
did
my
over
toes. I'm from Indiana, so we do that.
That's what he's doing.
Thank you.
Yes, and that would be a minimum of $2.5 million, and they would go up from there. We obviously think there'll be several that are much more than that.
And how many builders will be in this type of development?
So it's an entirely custom home building type, no tract builders or anything.
Right.
There's been a lot of interest from a couple of local builders who have shown great interest in many of these lots, and I think the developer may build a couple of them themselves too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Good question. Council, any further questions? Councilwoman Horn.
Yeah, can staff pull the picture up of the entryway again, the design of that? So I'm getting Stonehenge vibes here. I don't know why it seems like that, and I know in our comprehensive plan, I looked it up, distinct design standards, high aesthetic standards. And I know that's all subjective. I just want to know, is that exactly what it's going to look like? Because for $2.5 million homes,
She's not sure that she likes limestone. That looks like the original rock wall.
I don't want to hear it, Mayor. We can talk about
Sorry,
grout
I just
if you
throwing a little
like.
history out there.
Let's talk about grout.
That's right. For those of you that don't know about our grout debates, we won't bore you with them tonight. Very well.
So this is a rendering, and we do try to get close to that. But the materials shown here should be native Texas materials that are, owed to Texas history, and there will be no grout lines. These are anticipated to be in dry stack, just to clear that up. And the focus, we really wanted the focus to be on the main entry and the light and the signage. The Founders Reserve there is going to be backlit, and we think it'll be kind of a muted focus. We didn't want something that was real flashy and big and grandioso as an entrance, but just something to say, hey, there's kind of a hidden reserve back here.
Got it. Thank you.
You bet.
And I love the questions. And I'll keep taking the hits on the grout. I think the grout looks really good at the town center park. Now, before it was amber. All right, moving on. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, very well.
And to point out your comment regarding the septic systems, all the homes around us are septic. And
Okay,
yes.
I thought they were to the south. I
All
knew
of them.
that they were to the
There's
north.
no sewer in the area.
Okay, very good. It's because of the long run.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. If there's no further discussion or questions, council? Very well. At this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the final plat for case number FP-26-6, subject to the staff recommendations and conditions contained in the staff report.
Very well. Motion on the floor is stated. Do we have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We have a second by Councilman Myers. Any further discussion? If there is none, the motion moves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, moving into agenda item 7.b, discussion and possible action on a resolution proposed proposing the fiscal year 2026-27 ad valorem property tax rate and setting a public hearing for August 11th, 2026. Mr. Ayers.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a recap of the tax rate calculation worksheet, which is included in your packet. As discussed previously, you had the no new revenue rate. This produces the same amount of tax revenue from existing properties as the prior year, excluding new construction. That calculated TNT rate is .269792 per $100 of taxable assessed value. Then the voter approval rate is the highest tax rate that we can generally adopt without voter approval. That came in at .271668 per $100 of taxable assessed value. And what we're recommending to council, the de minimis rate, this is the tax rate that allows us to generate $500,000 in additional operating revenue. That's inclusive of the debt service. And this is the tax rate that we can adopt without triggering an automatic election, but it is subject to a voter petition. That rate came in at .281436 per $100 of taxable assessed value. It's pretty close to what was calculated in the preliminary proposed budget. Staff's recommendation is approval of this of the resolution proposing the 2026 property tax rate of .281436 per $100 of taxable assessed valuation. We do have the motion here for you to read off to put this in motion.
All right, very well. Are there any questions for staff at this time, council? And again, I know that we have multiple budget workshops, and I know that this is kind of, hey, let's do this preliminarily. This is kind of how it works. That you set the expectation, and then we continue to have this dialogue moving forward.
That's right, Mayor, and I think Jay mentioned it, but the actual calculated de minimis rate is higher than what was in the proposed budget. And so what we're asking you to do this evening is propose that rate as your proposed tax rate. And of course, it could always come down from this point forward. It just wouldn't be able to go up anymore.
That's correct. If we weren't to do this, then you would be limited on your abilities. Obviously, we are still tackling major items within the city. I know that many people might be listening, or those that are left in the room. We're not only tackling water and all the things water related, but on this side of the house, we're still tackling roads. And Key Road, you heard tonight. And there's other concerns within the city that we've got to tackle. We're opening a second, our DPS, our Department of Public Safety, and we're needing to bring on more officers. I kind of hate to say these things on the record, but just as a reminder, at any given time we have 2 officers on duty. So if it is a stop and they need both officers, it's a great time to speed. Just kidding. Just kidding. Rough crowd. I lost half my crowd just a while ago. So again, as we talk about tax rates and we talk about what we need to do, we've got to think about roads and we've got to think about our DPS and all the things that are needed. So again, thank you for bringing this forward. I understand what we're trying to accomplish with the de minimis rate. I always want to, at a future state, try to figure out how we can get this back down. But at the end of the day, I know that we've got some big things to tackle, and I know that that's what your staff's concerns are with. So at this time, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mayor, to approve the resolution proposing a 2026 property tax rate of 0.281436 per $100 of taxable assessed valuation, equivalent to the city's de minimis tax rate, setting the public hearing date of the proposed tax rate for Tuesday, August the 11th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in the City Council chambers at Heath City Hall, 200 Lawrence Drive, Heath, Texas 75032, authorizing publication of the required notice in the newspaper having general circulation in the city in accordance with the Texas Tax Code, and directing that the resolution be approved by record vote as required by the Texas Tax Code.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Omby. We will now go into a roll call vote. Norma?
Councilwoman Cindy Horn,
Yes.
Councilman Johnny Myers,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan Mormon,
Yes.
Mayor Jeremiah McClure,
Yes.
Councilwoman Michelle Thurgood,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Scott Dodson,
Yes.
and Councilman Mitch Homby.
Yes.
Very well. Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving into agenda item 7.c, discussion and action to approve the resolution 260728A, authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application to the Texas Water Development Board, that is the TWDB, for the Water Supply and Infrastructure Grant. Mr. Creed.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, as the Mayor stated, this is a resolution stating we want to go out for the grant for the water supply and for infrastructure grant. Here's a little bit of background on it for those that don't know. As part of House Bill 500, $1.038 billion was removed from the general fund and converted over to the TWDB to be dispersed into grants for water structure and supply projects. These funding will be awarded as grants only, so you don't have to pay them back. It's a one-time opportunity, obviously, for the Texas community to receive a grant funding to implement water supply and water infrastructure projects. Once the initial application is provided by communities is provided to communities by August 31st, 2027, the TWDB will no longer have these grant funds available to provide financial assistance. So I think they're saying this is a one-time opportunity to get it done. Here's the timeline, what we're looking at. The one that's important to us is the July 30th, 2026 is the application due date. And we need this resolution so that our consultant, which is Garver, can get this application in for us and see what we can do. That's it.
All right, very good. And obviously, well, not obvious, a quick question would be is that we've been planning, for 2 years, right? Writing, drafting, reworking, engineering. Is it helpful that we're having shovel-ready engineering plans and a true strategy that we're applying with?
So yes, that is part of the requirements is they want it to be source water or capacity-driven projects, shovel-ready, gives you points, as does AMHI, which is a challenge for us a little bit. But those are a requirement.
Very good. So what you're saying is we are in a good seat with all of our plans for this application.
Yeah, I think as it relates to having the shovel-ready projects, I think what Brian's mentioning
Sure.
is the wealth of our community can make it challenging, since that
Sure.
also counts toward points.
Sure. We'll just don't mention it. Okay. Okay. Again, for those of you at home, the comedy's free. All right. Moving into, do we have any questions from staff to the staff? From the council to the staff?
I mean, I would just counsel you to apply to these grants as frequently as possible with the best words you can use to persuade. Please.
The only additional question that I would have is, have we submitted the grant application, or we're about to? Everything's ready?
Everything's ready. We just need the resolution. They've packaged up our water plan.
Got it. So it's packaged, it's ready. And that's what
Yes, that's my understanding, yes, sir.
Councilman Dodson?
Brian, what's the quantum of the ask here on the grant request?
So you're asking for the amounts?
Yeah.
So for our population, we can get up to 21 million.
Right.
And I think that's from 10,000 to around 15,000.
So we're applying for 21 million,
We are
right?
applying for 21 million, as the resolution states.
Okay, go big or stay home.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any further questions? If not, the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Well, I'll move to approve the resolution number 260728A, authorizing the city manager or designee to submit an application to the Texas Water Development Board for water supply and infrastructure grant funding in the amount not to exceed $21 million.
Okay. Do we have any concerns with that motion?
No, the resolution is fine.
Not, okay, all right. And do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Dodson. The motion moves. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Would have been really odd if somebody opposed that. 7.d, discussion and update on the construction of DPS Station 30 and 31. We have Chief Siri as well as AGCM, and thank you, gentlemen, for waiting this whole time. I know you guys wanted to listen to all that. That was, man, it's better than watching Netflix.
Hey, Brian Chief before the meeting said that he thinks that he can beat your construction of your public works with his two facilities.
Hey, the good news is, Mr. Creed pulled me aside and he said, I bet he will. All right, Chief.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Have Marcus ready to present, and I'm also available for any questions you may have.
Very good, thank you.
Mayor, Council, thank you again for letting me present. So there's just a quick, brief update. As of right now, you'll notice that we're starting to get a little slippage on the schedule. So that's something that we'll talk about. Mainly, it's
That's why I put you at the end of the agenda.
But yeah, still with Station 31, initially last month we were projecting it at the beginning of April. Now we're projecting at the end of April from the last schedule update, but we're still, I'll go into that in more detail shortly. So Station 30, as you can see, we've done all of our site grading. These were photos were taken on Thursday. And you will notice at the top right corner, the spoils that we had from the select fill and some site spoils, that was all graded out. I went and verified today before we went out, so we got it graded, level, and we maintained the pathway. Last week we made sure that there was no spoils within the nature trail pathway, so we should be clear and have as soon as the vegetation grows, hopefully the coyotes won't be coming out anymore. And then as well, we were right now we're starting our site utilities. This is the main drain line that's feeding directly north from the high school and running down there. So we're kind of working with Public Works on trying to coordinate the design of that channel due to the flow. And then as well, all of our flex base moisture conditioning is all completed. So right now we're just working on getting our paving in place, and then 2 to 3 weeks we should start drilling piers out there. Franchise utilities, we're working with Encore, got a pathway coming from the switchgear that's on the high school coming over through the EDC property, then crossing the street. Basically it'll be crossing about right here onto the property site for the transformer. As well for the AT&T, got a discussion with them, planning on having that service coming in approximately like right here. And then Atmos working on the design to get service out to the site. I believe it's going to be coming from the west, about 1,500 linear feet running on that, and still working on that component with Atmos. So we are in works with all the franchise utilities and trying to work through that.
And just on the Atmos piece real quick, that's not within the scope of this project to get the gas back there, just so you're aware. That's going to be an additional cost.
Yes.
And with that, that's also secondary discussions that DPS is having with EDC, because
Correct.
EDC is also trying to get gas line out there for the 1880 and the reserve future state. So thanks for that clarity.
Yes, sir. That's pretty much update for Station 30. 31. So right now on Thursday, or when I was out there on Thursday, they did complete all the pier drilling. So that is completed. As for this week, hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have all of our plumbing completed. As well, we do have our structural steel package on site. Oh, and I forgot to mention on Station 30, we'll get our structural steel package next week on site as well. We got all of our fire lane completed on the south and west side. The only remaining portion is this part, and Grossman was just currently working on their traffic control design. I believe they have it completed, having to submit through the city and as well TxDOT to be able to pour out that fire lane. Once that section is completed, we will have 100% of the fire lane completed and parking lots. The only thing remaining on the hardscape aspect would be just the sidewalks and of course the foundation. And then as mentioned before, Thursday I did receive a notification from Grossman Design requesting 29 days extension on the contract due to the pier redesign and the moisture infiltration. Right now, I'm just working with them trying to figure out, making sure that there is no, with the flex-based component, because that was kind of more contractor caused delay, that none of that time is being allocated to this. So we're still working on them, trying to figure out how to get it tightened up. Nothing truly formal has been submitted other than just that initial claim reaching out. So right now, I'm just working with them to figure out exactly when they get their formal submission and just reviewing the schedule and seeing if everything's appropriately, the correlation on their schedule is matching up and seeing if they have true durations on that. Exterior mock-up, on your packet, I do have the correct exterior mock-up. This is not this is actually our last version. It's a lot lighter version. I believe we got the mortar design color pretty nailed down for the gray on the Spanish cobble. But one thing that did
Just
change,
remember, man, I saw where you had average on here. I'd like to point that out. I'd also like to be the one that pointed out that you covered up my trail.
as soon as we were informed about it, we got back on it and made sure that that trail was cleared out for you, sir.
Mortar, funny.
So on the front face, we are going with the lighter stone and actually replacing this board and batten, this is metal panel, with a light white stone. So if you look at that elevation, it's a lot lighter finish. We are keeping that dark stone, but it's just going to be more of an accent band. So we'll have a light white stone right there with a dark accent band and still maintaining the Spanish cobble that's already in place.
And just so you're aware, they're gonna have a markup, a rendering for us to make sure that is exactly the way we wanna go, but that's the route we're going now. Just removing that board and batten style paneling and going up all the way to brick is just getting really challenging with colors.
Yeah. Yeah, so that, basically I think they can need about 2 weeks to get that mock-up in place, and we'll still, that's gonna be the final approval before we say 100% go. Payment status, design contract sitting about 93% for Station 30. Construction contract, about 6% complete. That is up till June. I just barely received the July and haven't been able to fully vet it out, so I didn't want to include those durations or that amount on there. Design contract for Station 30 is 100% paid out. We got our building permit, so they're completed on that. And then construction cost about 22%, about $1 million of the total contract value. So there will be a big jump on this next payment due to the structural steel deliveries for both buildings arriving this month. That's all I have. If any questions or comments?
Very good. Any questions, council? If there are none, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the comedy. I appreciate it. Very good. If there are no further questions or comments by the council, there is no action on this item. So at this time, we will move into executive session in the court in accordance with Texas Government Code Chapter 551, Subchapter D. The City Council will recess in executive session. This is closed meeting to discuss the following: 8.A, Section 551.074, deliberation regarding the appointment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee regarding appointments and reappointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission, HMBC, HEDC, Park Board, Board of Adjustments, Architectural Review Board, Take Area Appeal Panel, and Municipal Court. We are now in executive session at 9:27. Park Board, Board of Adjustments, Architectural Review Board, Take Area Appeal Panel, and Municipal Court. We are taking action on this item, so therefore the chair will open the floor to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to reappoint the following individuals. To the Planning and Zoning Commission, Wayne Gordon and Jason Thompson. To the Heath Municipal Benefits Corporation, Heath Economic Development Corporation, Mike Zelenkus, Bart Davenport, Douglas Barkley, and Richard Kopke. To the Board of Adjustments, Nathan Goodnight and Dalton Tassett, alternate. Architectural Review Board, Lisa Reeves, Harriet Anderson, alternate, and Joshua Small, alternate. Municipal Court, Tim Hartley, Municipal Court Judge, and Ron Stacy, Associate Municipal Court Judge. I would also like to make a motion to appoint to a vacant seat on the HMBC HEDC Committee, Melissa Bouchard, the Park Board, Brady Hill, and Eileen O'Mara, the Board of Adjustments, Angel Butler, Take Area Appeals Panel, Troy Fryer, the Path Committee, Cassidy Harrell, and Jeff McKnight.
Very well. Thank you, Councilwoman Horn, for the motion. Motion as stated. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilman Myers. Do we have any further discussion on this item? And thank you, council members, for the hard work that you guys did for the interview process, and thank you to all the residents that applied. We're such a blessed city to have so many great volunteers that want to be on these appointed boards. So the motion moves. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. At this time, we are adjourned at 9:32.